A year of thrilling poker action will conclude as the PGT Last Chance will help decide who plays in the season finale $1 million free roll, which kicks off on PokerGO in just a week's time. This is event 1, a 10K buy-in, an all-limit hold'em event. My name is Remko Rinkema. Donnie Peters joining me as always, as we have lots at stake today, tomorrow, and next week. We'll get you caught up on all that action in just a minute as we look at the players at this final table. And of course, as always, a plethora of familiar faces, including our chip leader, Nick Schulman, who may or may not go into the Poker Hall of Fame as he is eligible in 2025. Joao Samao, Victoria Livschitz, also with big stacks. Bryce Yockey in the mix with the Ram Zobian as well. A look at some of these beautiful PGT trophies as the payouts show us that the final 7 are guaranteed $44,400 and the winner $283,000. Not a bad ROI for about 1 day of play. Action started yesterday inside the PokerGO Studio. We had a packed house with 111 entries in this event. Event 2 underway now as well. You can follow live reporting on PGT.com. But Donnie, as I said, this series is the culmination of a year's worth of high roller action, and there's a lot on the line.
There is a lot on the line. Everyone is chasing qualification into the PGT $1 Million Championship. As the name suggests, Last Chance. This is the last chance to get into the big dance, baby. Let's go.
All right, Nick Schulman, as I mentioned, our chip leader. Donnie, the top 40 is what everyone is gunning for. We will never forget the sad look on the face of Jim Colopy as he sat at the bar to sweat the very last event of last year's Last Chance series. Some of these players here today might be in a similar situation unless they perhaps pull off a win today.
Yeah, Bryce Yockey is the person that is headlining that conversation. Yockey is currently 59th on the PGT leaderboard. As you mentioned, the top 40 gets in. So doing well here today, and of course well over the course of the series, can get Yockey either in or very close to the top 40, and then he can make his push towards the championship from there. You mentioned Jim Colopy. Thankfully for Jim Colopy, he's currently sitting pretty. He's in 7th place on the leaderboard, so he's locked in to qualify, right? So we don't have to, deal with the Colopy heartbreak once again.
Aram Zobian here in the small end, all in for 930K. And Samao with the beautiful suited Broadway cards, King, Queen of Hearts in the mix here. As you can see on the screen, this is almost exactly a 50-50 confrontation as Zobian finds his tournament life on the line, awaiting the showdown here as Samao looks to take down a 2 million chip pot. And Jack 10 on the flop, 17 outs for Samao. Donnie, perhaps a case of too many outs.
I mean, it's fitting that we kick off the new year with the case of too many outs, because we've had this plenty.
All right, awaiting the turn here. Samao more outs than he knows what to do with, and it is the Queen of Spades on the turn. Zobian down to just 2 outs. Black 5s, the only thing able to save him here, or else we'll see a elimination on hand number 1 at this final table. It is the 9 of clubs, and that is it. Samao sends Zobian to the rail. Samao now up to 3.3 million. And Bryce Yockey laddering up 1 spot, Donnie. Very important for him to outlast a few here today.
Yeah, the more points, the better for Yockey. Also for Samao. Samao is sitting a bit further outside of the top 40. Came into this event in 94th place, just behind another member of this final table, Victoria Livschitz, who's in 93rd. They might be too far out. They have some work to do, but hey, crazier things have happened in poker. All the points matter, and of course they matter also for the series leaderboard that's going to award some entries directly into that PGT $1 Million Championship. So tons and tons and tons of stuff to play for here at the Last Chance series.
All right, shout out to everyone who's tuned in right now on PokerGO and on YouTube. I see you guys. Russell, Jimmy Bluffett. We got Ricardo Prado, who says, we are so back. Bonus boys, 2K25. You're damn right. That's exactly what's up. We got lots of broadcasts coming up, so we're stoked to be back as we look at Nick Schulman. Locked in as always. Schulman very safe when it comes to the PGT Championship $1 million free roll. But of course, Donnie,
13th place for him.
Every win on the Nick Schulman resume seemingly matters a bit more in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Schulman recently got another WSOP gold bracelet down in the Bahamas. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he's a lock for the Hall of Fame. He's just got to be. The guy is just absolutely too good. Has had an incredible career. Here in the PGT, you know, he can get his second win of this PGT season. He's got 17 cashes total, making his 18th cash here today. You mentioned him being locked in. He's locked into the top 40, I'll tell you that much. 13th place overall, as is Aram Zobian, who we saw go out in 7th place there. Aram came into this event sitting in 8th place on the PGT leaderboard. So for Zobian and for Schulman, not necessarily about trying to qualify for the PGT Championship. They're already in there, but they could improve their standing, and the better that you have on the standings, the more chips you could start with in the PGT Championship.
All right, so McEwen picks this one up, comfortable on 1.6 million blinds right now, 30K, 60K with a 60K big blind ante. As you see on top of your screen right next to that beautiful Play PokerGO logo. Go check us out, Donnie. Play PokerGO now available for players to go and check out. I had a bit of fun with that earlier. Definitely nice to play while you're watching the live stream. And shout out to Jason in the chat, member for 18 months straight. Very much appreciate it. Jimmy Bluffett on the receiving end of a membership there as well. As we look at Lee here in the 1 seat. Donnie, great turnout here for event number 1. The room was buzzing last night. Lots of faces that I wasn't necessarily expecting for a 10K type buy-in.
You mean like a
Chidwick, Petrangelo?
Petrangelo for sure. You know, Chidwick, he's kind of right on that cusp, you know, dealing with the top 40 bubble. The thing with Chidwick is we hadn't seen him, you know, all season long. He's going through a move, all that sort of stuff. So, you know, life gets in the way. We get it. But he's back out here. He's blasting. The mustache looks great. Speaking of mustaches, Nick Petrangelo.
Oh, I mean,
he's back. Yeah, I was surprised to see when he walked in the room. I was like, "Am I seeing a ghost?" I mean, this isn't a 25K
no,
Nick. This isn't a 50K Nick. What's going on? Maybe he's just bored.
That's actually
there's not much going on right now in the poker world, right?
It is a quiet time for poker, but it is the right time to get back into the action. PGT Last Chance running all the way through next week. If you're catching this live right now, please know that these events are open for anyone to enter. All we require is the 10K buy-in as we see Samau and Livschitz go head-to-head here. Livschitz is going to let go of that 6-5 off as Samau rakes this one. And a quick little recap here of the players that finished in the money last night. Nick Petrangelo with the min cash. Same can be said for David Coleman, Brian Kim, Joseph Chong, Chris Brewer, Byron Kaverman, Sam Laskowitz, Martin Carnero, and Dan Shack. Donnie, we could have made an epic final table just from those guys.
Yeah, we could have. You mentioned one player and specifically that I want to highlight, Brian Kim. His 14th place finish was notable, not because of the $22,000 that he won, which I would happily take, but because that cash was his 3rd PGT cash of the season. He's in the top 40. He just needed to find a cash in one of these 6 events to be able to qualify for the PGT Championship. He got it in the first event, so he is now qualified.
And Donnie, this applies to multiple players here this week. I specifically saw WSB main event champion Jonathan Tamayo get eliminated on multiple occasions, seemingly not too happy about that, as he also is among those that need the additional cash.
Yeah, Jonathan Tamayo has 1,730 PGT points this season. He has 2 cashes so far, one of those, of course, being his win in the WSOP main event. He's currently 6th on the PGT leaderboard. But in order to qualify for the PGT $1 Million Championship, you need 3 cashes in PGT events. Tamayo has been hard at it. He played the high roller events at the NAPT. He went to Texas and fired in the PLO series. He's here now firing in the PGT Last Chance. So he needs 1 cash in order to qualify. Brian Kim got that cash. Jonathan Tamayo needs a cash. Tamayo isn't the only one. Nicholas Ostet, Jason Sagal. Sagal actually needs 2 cashes. Boris Angelov, Matthew Lambrecht, Andres Gonzalez also needs 2 cashes. Eli Nakash and Malo Latinois also needs 2 cashes. So they are the players who are currently within the top 40 but need to achieve the qualifying requirement of getting to 3 cashes.
We got Yaki and Livschitz going to the flop yet again. This time Livschitz in position on Queen, Jack, excuse me, Livschitz from the small blind. Queen, Jack 6, all spades. Yaki with top pair on that dangerous looking spades flop. Yaki, of course, has become very well known, Donnie, for that one hand that he played at WSOP a couple of years back where I believe it was Josh ARIA went perfect to crush his spirits in deuce to 7 triple draw. It's kind of funny that he's known for that now to sort of the general crowd, because in my opinion, Yaki might be one of the more underrated players to the general public.
Yeah, for sure. Plays all the games well, plays high stakes. You know, he's always kind of one of those, at least dark horse or maybe overlooked contenders for WSP Player of the Year every single year because he plays everything and he does play it so well. So, yeah, don't sleep on Bryce Yaki.
Livschitz here taking a stab out of position. That's 180,000.
Yeah, and the way Yaki played this, checking behind on the flop, can't imagine he's going anywhere here on the turn. Little pocket control here in position.
Now, in this situation, Donnie, for Livschitz, what information do we gather from Yaki making this call?
He could have some flush draws. He could have a flush. He could have a queen that is better that he's just trying to kind of get the showdown with, not go too crazy. So I'm not, you know, entirely thrilled if I'm Livschitz. I don't think she's going to try and seek out some extra value here. If she does bet, you know, turning her hand into a bluff. But you probably have too much showdown value here. That ace, not really a good card for her, likely, so.
Action does go check, check. Yaki's going to show down the queen, and with the better pair, he's going to take this one down. Still a good amount of play left here at this final table. Players finished up around midnight last night. It's going to be a very, very heavy week of poker for these players. Donnie, you mentioned Brian Kim getting the cash he needed. You know Brian really well. Was this a matter of satelliting his way into that cash, or is someone like him here to play the whole series?
Good question. I actually don't know. I haven't talked with him since then. I mean, Brian's here. I know his wife is back in Australia, so I don't know what he's going to do for the next 4 or 5 days other than play poker. So I would imagine he's going to be here firing. I also think, you know, for a lot of players who might have taken some time off over the holidays, like Jeremy Osmus, for example, he played event number 1. A little bit surprising to see him there because he doesn't really need the points. He's pretty much locked into the top spot and winning Player of the Year honors. But he said, you know, I've had 2 weeks off. That's enough time for me. You know, time to get back in there, knock some of the rust off going into that PGT championship, right? So, you know, I would expect Brian Kim to be out there blasting, as I expect a lot of players to do that. Nick Schulman here, you know, we talked about him. He's locked into the top 40, right? But he's going to be out there. He's going to be firing. Win some money. Increase your standing. Get some more chips for that championship event. Get some momentum going.
Win Lee, haven't mentioned his name yet. Donnie, what can you tell the viewers about Win?
Well, I know he's good friends with, is it David Chen? Remember when he showed up randomly?
Yep.
Win Lee is one of those max late reggers. But, you know, those guys tend to be like extremely studied players. Just kind of always know the spots, especially when it comes to, you know, kind of a more of a push-fold strategy, that sort of stuff. So I'm not really surprised to see someone like that make a run here. One of the best things about the Last Chance series is you don't really have to have done anything on the PGT all season, because you can just come in here, rip off a bunch of cashes, some points, finish at the top of the leaderboard. Next thing you know, you're in the big dance. So that's great.
Great flop here for Lee. However, hard to extract value in situations like that unless your opponent finds a strong holding as well. In this case, Lee looking to perhaps squeeze some blood from the stone, as Livschitz has absolutely nothing.
$300.
300,000.
10 seconds. Fold.
And there it is. A quick bet and a fold, and Lee takes it down. No real defined short stack as it stands. McEwen on 26 bigs, Livschitz on 25, Lee on 28. Donnie, how important do you think the points jumps are as it stands right now? Yaki perhaps motivated to be a little more cautious.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to money jumps, right? And I think at this stage in the tour, this being the last series, you know, I think a lot of what these players are playing for has to do with the fact that you can get into the PGT Championship. So in a normal aspect, maybe you say, okay, I have a 15K pay jump, a 20K pay jump, whatever it may be, and you're kind of looking at it that way. Maybe now you lean a little bit more towards, okay, this is worth 20 points, this is worth 15 points, like that sort of stuff, right? The money, in a way, is almost secondary. Not that it's like, you know, a big secondary element, but I think the points are certainly at the top of mind for most of these players here.
Bryce Yaki opening it up with ace-jack off. Schulman getting aggressive from the small line with ace-9. Donnie, could this be the saving grace for McEwen with the ace-queen off type holding?
Could be, yeah. I mean, he might also think that it's too much of a hand here. I can see him probably going either way with this one.
Nick Schulman, 21.5 million in career tournament earnings. As I mentioned, turned 40, which means he is Hall of Fame eligible. He, of course, multiple bracelet winner and in the top 50 of poker's all-time money list. How do you not get into the Hall of Fame? But guess what? Another guy by the name of Scott Seaver, equally deserving.
Yeah, I mean, you're starting to get to that backlog that everyone's talked about for so long, as we see McEwen does in fact go with the 4-bet jam here. It's going to be quick fold.
All right, so McEwen did have too much of a hand, like you said, Donnie. Is ace-queen sort of the cutoff in that situation there? Ace-jack will sort of, I don't know, happily find the muck?
Yeah, I think you're kind of happy just to put ace-jack in the muck, even ace-jack suited. I mean, maybe sometimes where if you know your players and they're kind of getting a little bit too out of line, then you can change things. But
that's why you got to wear the hat.
Yeah. Try to avoid
or sunglasses or something.
Yeah.
Players looking to stay in the shadows as the bright lights on the set here can be a bit harsh on the eyes. But of course, we'd like to give you, all the viewers at home, the best experience, so we got to crank those lights up. Action folds over to Schulman on the button. King, queen off.
worst hand in poker.
Easy pick up there for Schulman. All right, here's a look at the upcoming High Stakes Poker Season 14 premiere on January 13, exclusively on PokerGO. Jared Blesnick, Scott Seaver, Ryan Feldman, and Sam Kiki are just a few of the names making their High Stakes Poker debuts. Plus, beloved regulars Phil Hellmuth, Andrew Roble, and Alan Keating are back in the mix to celebrate the new season. PokerGO is offering a $20 discount off your first year of a new annual subscription. Join or upgrade now. Use promo code LASTCHANCE25. And Donnie, I believe you and I, or at least me, have seen some of the new High Stakes Poker action, and I don't know. To me, it feels like we're leveling up again this year. I think Season 14 might go down as one of the greats.
Yeah, you mentioned one name in particular, Sam Kiki. I think people are going to love this guy. He's the head honcho over at Monkey Tilt. He did join us for the High Stakes Poker Season 14 taping, and He got after it, man. Absolutely got after it.
I mean, he's sort of taken on that Sam Farha role a little bit. Just relentless aggression.
Yeah.
Comes with the chatter also. Seemed
like,
comfortable.
I mean, from what I gathered, my brief viewings of things, it's hard to get a read on him because he's the new guy, right?
Yep.
And that's kind of difficult. So
Change.
Just this?
also fitting that we placed Nick Schulman, high stakes poker commentator, at this final table with the chip lead to
exactly
pair that with the announcement, right?
That's how we do it.
That's exactly what we did, right? And Nick and AJ Benza once again will be on the call for High Stakes Poker Season 14.
So once more, if you're just tuning in, this PGT Last Chance Series generating a ton of buzz in Las Vegas as the top 3 from this series leaderboard qualifies into the $1 million free roll, and the next 5 places will get Dream Passes into the Dream Seat Invitational, which gives you a chance to qualify for said event. And that PGT Championship can be watched on PokerGo.com. And last year we had an epic final table, Smilkovic, Arden Cho. That was quite the entertaining final table, Donnie.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of fun. Arden, I don't think many people were familiar with her poker game, but she did great. Honestly, she did great. And Smilkovic as well. He just kind of had super creative lines. He was always aggressive. Even during the Last Chance series, I just remember like these crazy lines that Smilkovic was taking the whole time and like just putting people in, under insane pressure and all this sort of stuff. So super fun to be able to watch that one play out last year, and I'm pumped for what we're going to see this year.
3-bet action here from Bryce Yockey. Samau raising the button with Queen 7 of diamonds. Yockey picks this up.
You mentioned the 111 entries. Last year during this Last Chance series, 91 was the opening event. That was also the biggest event of the series. So 20 more this year.
Did you?
That's awesome.
That, yeah.
Nice.
Leave it up to you to do something. You're gonna owe me like 10 dinners.
Is it
by
always
the end of
happening
these
at
6 days are
5
done.
When it's once we get down 3 players, we do 4 minutes, and we get things done for 3 or 5 or 4. So it's always 5 minutes.
Kind of think of all the restaurants to use them on. I'm gonna run out of restaurants before I run out of dinners.
Donnie, walking around the room yesterday, what was sort of the atmosphere like? I know I had a chance to catch up with a few players. Most of them were eager to get the new year started. Anything that you picked up?
I mean, listen, I'm going to sound like a homer, but again, just like the race for the championship, like this is the shot, As I mentioned, you don't have to have played a full schedule on the PGT. You could come into this series with 0 PGT points. You can do well on the series leaderboard, and you can finish in one of the top 3 spots and win a dream seat and get into that championship. So, it's a great way for players to kick off the poker year, especially players that, had some success the last year and they got some money to burn now and they want to step up their game and take some shots. Well, right out of the gate, a high stakes poker series at the best place to play, the PokerGo Studio. You take a bunch of shots, and then maybe, next thing you know, you're the top dog for the rest of the year. Not only on the PGT, but just in poker in general. Success starts early, and these guys want to get after it.
Bryce Yockey getting after with the, I think he said vanilla chocolate protein smoothie.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
I'm in.
For people in the chat, let us know, what are your poker predictions for 2025? It can be a prediction of your own bankroll, going north or south. It can also be about, certain players winning certain events, or perhaps give me like a hot take on the field size of perhaps the WSB main event. Give me your poker predictions for the year. Always fun to hear from the fans. Just joining us, my name is Remko Rinkema. Donnie Peters alongside me in the booth will be here with you for the entire Last Chance series. We're taking Sunday off of streaming, but other than that, we'll be with you until next Thursday. As Nick Schulman makes the call, defending his big blind with King 3 off. Heads up between the 2 biggest stacks at the table, and Jack 3-10 gives Schulman a pair of 3s, but more importantly, Samau with the open and the straight draw. Donnie, is there any significance in that pair of threes for Schulman?
I mean, yes, you connected with the board. You know, it improves your hand. You're not just being put in a spot where you have a, you know, a king high. I think it's enough to continue here. This type of texture, I think Samau's probably going to be firing quite often. So I think you're going to peel one if you're Schulman. Evaluate kind of where you're at on the turn, depending on what Samau does as well. Ideally, you know, you can just kind of get to some sort of cheap showdown and you win.
Schulman check call the bet of 110K. Action now back on Samau on the turn. Still looking at just king queen high, but definitely a board that perhaps favors him to continue blasting.
Yeah, and I think these two players in particular, you know, are deep enough that there can be some play.
Wow.
I mean, this is just a beautiful card here.
Broadway for Samau on the river. Schulman first to act. Hoping for a cheap showdown here, but Samau is definitely going to charge him. The Brazilian pro weighing his options here with 660 in the middle.
Yeah, just depending on how big he wants to go, how greedy he wants to get. 660 out there, and that looks like it's
585.
No, I'm sorry, 585.
yeah, just about pot here. So
Time extended.
Samau with 7.7 million in career earnings. Putting out nearly a pot-sized bet here for Schulman.
10 seconds.
Wow, and Nick Schulman pulls the trigger in a massive way.
Oh, you're right.
Samau with the nuts, just verifying, makes the call. And João Samau with an enormous double up after a Nick Schulman misstep. Just goes for the all-in check raise on the river. Donnie, what did we just witness?
I mean, all the heart from Schulman. When he was contemplating it, I don't even think for that long, Schulman didn't think call was an option there. Did think there was a small chance he could leverage that king and come with a check raise. I didn't think it would be check jam, go for it all, but he did. Tried to put max pressure on Samau. We, of course, know that Broadway straight the nuts for Samau. And Schulman takes a massive tumble from first to worst.
The two biggest stacks clashing, resulting in Samau doubling to 6 million chips, taking a commanding lead, now sitting just shy of having 50% of all the chips in play. Donnie, was the ace that much of an enticing card for Schulman to pull the trigger in that spot?
I think it was more about the king in his hand, you know, and how it matched up with blocking king queens. You block probably the best ace that your opponent can have, ace king there. You know, maybe Samau comes with the bet on the flop, in that case with the ace king. He's also got outs to obviously make the nuts with Broadway. Just checks it back on the turn, but then he comes with some value on the river. Of course, you know, that 3, I mean, you talked about the significance of it. That 3 does block like some 2 pairs, ace 3 specifically, right? You know, so if Samau has an ace 3, not that he would necessarily bet that on the flop, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, but, you know, ace 3 then is something that Schulman blocks as well. So,
all right, so Nick Schulman knocked down to just over 10 big blinds. Not out just yet, but in quite the predicament here. But you gotta love the fact that he just went for it. People,
I mean, listen, I've been in plenty of spots like that, like Schulman, where
And then you just fold, right?
No. You say I have this card or that card or this combination of cards. It blocks my opponent, and then your opponent just has what you're trying to block. Always, they just always have it, Remko.
Oh my God, you're right.
Sorry.
They do always have it. But you know, it is so easy to let go of spots. You gotta love it when the pros go for it, and Schulman in this case goes for it again. Find the king queen of clubs.
I mean, he might get a double up here. I mean, if his hand holds, but
John, nice hand.
Hey. Good luck.
Thank you.
He is getting called here, and best case scenario for Schulman to get right back in it.
850.
Nick Schulman's tournament life on the line. 64% to double up here. And if he does, yeah, it's kind of like no harm, no foul. He'll be right back in the race. He will no longer be the short stack, but you got to get your big hands to hold up. All right, here's the flop. King 5-5. McEwen looking for a 7 and a 7 only to send Schulman to the rail. Ace would chop it here, so would a king. Turn is the deuce of spades, adding a flush draw to McEwen's possibilities here.
it's never easy. You can never just hold.
Schulman anticipating some good news here on the river to keep his dreams alive in this event. Can he fade it? And he can.
660.
8 of hearts on the river. Schulman back up to 1.8 million. And Donnie, it's almost like we can just move on and forget about that last hand.
I don't know. I think Schulman would want that one back, maybe.
But as far as table dynamics go, Schulman somehow basically now second in chips again, tied with Yaki, as Livschitz, McEwen, and Lee are below him. But I mean, Simao, Donnie, in the perfect scenario to apply tons of pressure, given the pay jumps, given the point jumps in the race for the overall championship event, this is sort of like a dream scenario.
Yeah, he's got a big chip lead. Everyone else is pretty close to each other, so you know Simao can really start opening things up, which I would think that Simao likes to do at times. A couple of kings here for Yaki under the gun.
In case you're just tuning in, the final 6 guaranteed $55,000. Going all the way up to 283 here at today's final table. Action over to Simao in the big blind with the suited ace-8.
Call.
Jack 10-6, 2 hearts. Simao with backdoor diamonds. Nice looking flop for Yaki, who's got the red cards to go along with the overpair on this red flop. Yaki continues for just under half pot, and Simao lets it go.
Sorry.
All right, chat, if you're with us on PokerGo or on YouTube, let us know where you're watching from. Let us know how your holiday season has been. We'd love to hear from you all. Peter in the chat on PokerGo is asking, is Negreanu playing today? Have not seen Negreanu just yet, but also he is already qualified for the $1 million free roll, so perhaps just taking some additional rest. I know he's had a big travel schedule lately. Event number 2 underway. You can follow the live reporting on PGT.com. That'll go all the way until the final table is set, which you can watch tomorrow on YouTube and PokerGo. Folds over to McEwen. Jack 9 of spades. Decides to let it go. Donnie, is this situation where McEwen with a shorter stack just doesn't want to get into any situations versus Samau because he can just easily apply a lot of pressure on him?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just Samau, too. I mean, you're also going into Yaki, who's now chipped up a little bit and is pretty clearly in second place. So just take a little bit more of a cautious approach there for McEwen.
Victoria, that's blues in the back or purples?
Yeah, 2 purples, so 12
Thank you.
million, 2 and
Thanks.
blinds.
Yaki, the only player, along with Samau, who has 2 million chips at least. Samau with the easy pressure situation here. Can attack the blinds with the suited king.
All in.
And he moves all in. Speaking of pressure, he puts the maximum amount in, and that's what I just mentioned, you know. The big stack allows you to take those chances. Yes, you will run into a hand sometimes, but more often than not, you'll just pick up the valuable blinds and ante as we play 40K, 80K with the 80K big blind ante. So quite a bit of chips up for grabs every single hand. We got William in the chat, along with Sin Nitty NV, wishing us a happy new year. Same to you guys, as well as Christy in the chat. Jimmy as well. We're seeing lots of quick folds here, Donnie. No one really trying to get too creative.
Yeah, no need to waste any time here. You see Yaki put it all in from the button.
Fold.
Livschitz, let's go. The Queen Jack action on Lee. And Yaki gets to pick this one up. Papa Malunga in the chat says, hey, does Antonio Esfandiari
when you say
play on
fold, I always think
PokerGO?
you say call.
I thought she said call as well.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I thought that was by English, so not myself,
I
right?
mean,
I know you said
maybe it's
fold, but
maybe it's the distance because I heard her like pretty
Right.
clearly, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think the echo or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to make out.
Yeah, and you also fold was very clear, you know, just about my.
As I was trying to say here, question about Antonio Esfandiari. On PokerGo.com, if you type in Esfandiari in the search, you'll probably have a week's worth of streams and episodes to watch of the magician playing. I also believe he recently filmed more high-stakes cash here inside the studio, so we will have plenty of Esfandiari content in 2025. However, he no longer plays poker tournaments. It's been probably 5 years since we've last seen him in a poker tournament. Only maybe the World Series Poker main event, and the rest he just focuses on cash games.
10 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Action folds to Lee in the small. Moves all in, and Schulman with 6 is going to snap it off. We're going to have an all-in showdown here. It's Lee's tournament life on the line. King, Queen versus 6s. Donnie,
Looks stressful.
is this what you're supposed to feel like with the King, Queen?
I mean, he was ready to pull his hair out.
All right, so we got the small pair versus the big cards. 2.8 million in the middle. Whoever wins this is going to be a real contender and jump into second in chips. And Jack 8-4 keeps Schulman in the lead. Lee looking for a king or a queen. Backdoor straight also available to him. Schulman 6s still out in front. 4 on the turn, is going to keep it that way. Lee now down to just 6 outs. Very calm as he awaits his fate. The river is the 10 of clubs, and that'll do it. Win Lee will be our 6th place finisher as Nick Schulman to his direct left collects all those chips. Lee will take home $55,000, and we'll likely see him again in event number 2, which is underway right now in the room right next to our streaming studio. And Nick Schulman, what a roller coaster he has been on. Now back up to 3.1 million.
Back in business, Nick.
Huh?
Back to the game.
I'm back.
Just like that.
Yeah.
He just wanted to make.
guys
He
didn't think
wanted
it
to
was-
make it exciting for a
Yeah.
second.
Schulman giving the fans a show so
Gotta
far,
make
Donnie.
a good comeback story.
I mean, of course.
We've seen three big pots. He's been in all of them.
It's so good, the viewers will think it's scripted.
It is. Right after we announce High Stakes Poker Season 14, the co-commentator is out there blasting away, trying to pull off an
Is it on?
insane bluff. Just going for it all.
It's kind of like poker karma, you know. You get rewarded for
Thank you.
trying out the big bluff.
Yeah, come on. Reward the heart. Let's go.
Exactly.
10 seconds.
All in.
And the Schulman train keeps on rolling as 9-8 of spades deemed strong enough to make that move with Donnie. Can you explain this to perhaps
that the only
a
move you
more
got?
novice viewer? Shoving 9-8
That's my
suited
big
might seem
move.
a little tricky.
I mean, in this spot, Schulman has the leverage of stacks, right? He's got the bigger stack, of course. He can absorb the hit. And he can put a lot of pressure on McEwen, forcing him to wake up with a big hand. And should he get called, 9-8 suited probably has enough equity that Schulman's fine with it, right? You know, there's not too many hands out there that are going to
We've
have
been
you
playing.
absolutely
We've been playing
crushed.
for like an hour.
Good luck, everyone.
What's up,
Hey,
Chino?
Hi,
Chino.
Gemma. Good morning.
Good morning.
Chino's like the new Helmy, popping into the studio.
Chino, who
buddy.
owns the place,
Get him
basically.
today.
I saw a question in the chat on PokerGo asking about the PGT.com
On me,
or
right?
PGT leaderboard.
Sorry, I folded.
If you go to PGT.com, you'll see the leaderboard tab at the top of the page. It'll show you
All in?
the current list of players, with Jeremy Osmond on top, followed by Daniel Negreanu, Seth Davies, Michael Rocco, and Jesse Lonis. That's the current top 5. And as you
good.
scroll further down, you'll get to that wonderful 40th place, which is the bubble. And Donnie, we saw players that are right around the bubble competing yesterday. I saw Jonathan Little, who's in 39th. I saw Matthew Wallman and Isaac Haxton, who are 41st and 42nd. Ren Lin was in the house. He's in 44th. Chidwick is in 47th. Brock Wilson in 48th. All these guys are basically I guess a top 3, top 4 away from jumping into the top 40, which will then trigger perhaps some nerves from the likes of a Chance Kornuth or Scott Seaver or Alex Foxen, who are in the 35 to 37 range.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of movement at the bottom half of this top 40. Players coming in, players coming out, kind of swinging with every single event. There's also some implications where those players that we talked about earlier who don't yet have the qualifying cashes, if they don't get the qualifying cashes, essentially they're removed from the leaderboard and everyone gets slotted up a spot. So then there's that
that the nine of
aspect.
diamonds?
Like, but some of these players, like you mentioned, Matthew Wantman, Isaac Haxton,
Good
etc., they're trying to take their fate into their own hands and just go out there and get the
Yeah, it
points.
didn't really make sense.
Like, they're not going to sit on the sidelines and say, oh, Nicholas Ested didn't get the cash. Maybe I get bumped up and in. No, you go out there and you get the points. Okay, that's what you do. It's going to be a lot of fun tracking this all. I would also suggest people follow at PokerGo Tour on Twitter. PGT Commissioner Tim Duckworth has the controls. He's firing out all the different scenarios, stats, updates, who got this points, who moved up, who moved down, all this sort of stuff every single day. So be sure to follow at PokerGo Tour on Twitter. Also, Remko mentioned PGT.com for all the updates.
Yeah, and just
700,000.
also mention and clarify, if a player is in the top 40 and has met the requirements, if they don't show, it doesn't mean that number 41st gets into the tournament. At that point, you're just out of luck. So if someone like a Santosh, who is currently in 16th and who has the requirements to qualify, doesn't show, it doesn't mean that Haxton gets in if he's one spot away from the top 40.
McEwen there, effectively committing himself with the 2 6s.
Speaking of names that have qualified already, Victor Blom.
I'm told is coming.
Oh,
for
baby.
the free roll.
Yes.
I was told yesterday he will be here for the free roll, and that would be awesome.
Brian Rast, Kristen Foxen, all qualified as well.
10 seconds.
The biggest sweat of all is probably Jonathan Tamayo, who needs at least the cash. It would be good to have the main event champ in the event. As we take a look at McEwen with pocket 10s, raising up to 160, and Samau, ace-8 of clubs, contemplating a move.
I know it might be enticing there to see Samau's hand, to see where he is on the leaderboard, having that big chip lead, and just think, oh, I'm just going to 3-bet this hand. But I think you have to think relative to your opponent, McEwen being just ahead of Livschitz, so he's probably going to be a little bit tighter in his range. Samau can play this in position, make the hand a bit longer, maybe take it away on later streets, fold out better hands depending on how the texture runs out. So that's the approach that Samau took here, and we'll see how it develops, starting with the Jack 4-4, and Samau's going to pounce to a bet after being checked too.
Sorry.
Check call here from McEwen. 110,000 was the bet. Queen of clubs on the turn. Samau is just going to keep applying pressure here. Just really ramping up the pressure here on McEwen. And of course, McEwen, when he thinks about making the call here on the turn, he has to basically think in his head like, okay, what's going to come on the river, and how am I going to proceed? And it's seems, at least at this point, that Samau's just going to keep firing, so I'm going to have to be faced with another difficult decision on the river, so I'm just going to get out of the way here. And, you know, as I mentioned pre-flop, Samau took the approach to elongate the hand and ended up making his opponent fold out a better hand later on.
Of course, the beauty of being the big stack, you can do that kind of stuff. Now, McEwen and Livschitz, the bottom of the counts here, the other stacks feeling really comfortable about our chip leader. Samau, 36 years old, from Belo Horizonte in Brazil. Married, 2 children. So the family man looking to put some additional bread on that table here at the Last Chance Series. Funny little note about Samau. He once knocked his wife out of the Latin American Poker Championship Super High Roller Final table. I wonder how they went to bed that night.
I wonder how the couch was.
280.
Livschitz makes it 160 as Schulman comes with the 3-bet with the ace-4. Playing the blocker game, Donnie?
Yeah, it's very interesting here, and it's a pretty delicate spot because the size is so small. And Livschitz is going to call here. I mean, she's getting a great price. I know she's the short stack, or second shortest after McEwen lost that last pot, but this hand probably has too much equity given the sizing. Play it in position. Things will get a little bit trickier here on the ace-10-9. She does make a pair, but of course, Schulman comes with the better one. Hitting that ace. Schulman might not be too scared here. You know, your mind might drift to the fact that, okay, I have top pair, yes, but my kicker is horrible. She could have a better kicker, but would Victoria play her aces like this on the button? She'd probably jam some of them, maybe open the better ones, but then come with the 4-bet jam versus the 3-bet. So kind of lean that Schulman, also having been the 3-better pre-flop, feels fairly comfortable here.
Time extension.
You can tell by the body language of Livschitz that this is not what she was hoping for. And that's the agony of being in that situation where you come along with the 9-8 suited. You need to really hit a good flop to continue. Otherwise, Schulman is always going to take it down on the flop.
Yeah, listen, good discipline by her there.
All aces.
You know.
Not that hard to.
I only have to fade an hour now. 1 hour, I win the bet.
Looks like there is some side betting being done here. Donnie, wouldn't be surprised if players had some kind of wagers on making top 40 or perhaps.
Of course, why not? Fire away.
Yeah. Levels in this event are 30 minutes apiece, so we're about to go up to 50K, 100K. No breaks on the stream here today, so looking to keep you all watching here with all those short attention spans. I know that I certainly qualify for that. Got the attention span of an ant.
Well, a red no, that's not that strong.
McEwen gives Samau a walk. Whenever I say the word walk, I just think my dog's listening and I have to go leave the house.
Like 300 in color.
He gets so fired up. All right, players coloring up their chips real quick. We'll be able to time travel through this break and get you right back to the action as we look at the outsides of the beautiful PokerGO Studio to remind you of OctopiPoker.ai. Octopi Poker is the most accessible poker study platform for all skill levels. Put yourself at the final table by playing with Octopi's new ICM trainer. Plans start at $180 per year, and all paid subscriptions will be entered into a drawing for a seat into the first event of the 2025 Poker Masters. Check it out and join at OctopiPoker.ai. So there you go. If you are a paid member of Octopi for $180, you will be in the drawing, and perhaps we'll see you here at the studio to play in the 2025 Poker Masters in the fall. All right, like I said, blinds up, 50K, 100K. Ace Queen off for Samau in the small blind. He's coming out with the raise.
Cool. That's it.
King, deuce 5, 2 clubs on board. Can we speak of a range advantage for Samau here, Donnie?
I mean, being the pre-flop aggressor here out of the small blind, king high board like this would expect him to continue.
25.
Of course, if you're in Yaki's shoes, you know, you have to just, you probably just default to thinking, this guy's raising anything because he's the big chip leader. This is the type of texture he's just going to continue with. I have the ace of clubs, which does allow me some back doors. It allows me some blocking to him having, you know, nut flushes or nut flush draws, stuff like that. So he's going to continue. Ace high could also just very well be the best hand.
Check.
Somehow electing to slow down here with a check.
375.
How do you feel about Yaki taking a stab here, Donnie?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Just seems like tricky for me to find a hand from Samau's perspective that Yaki could have.
Oh.
I mean, he could have a king that plays it a little bit more conservatively on the flop.
Check.
Probably check here unless Yaki really wants to go for it, but
Checks down. It's like queen play.
Action gets checked down, and Samau gets the showdown, ace queen, and this is not insignificant. Bryce Yaki taking a major hit to his stack here, down to just 1.1 million, and just as it was before, Samau and Schulman quite a bit ahead of the rest. But now, McEwen on 8 bigs, Livschitz on 9, and Yaki on 11. So each orbit, we could see major action between these players as McEwen produces a smile, perhaps seeing one of his friends or spectators on the rail looking in through the windows of our studio. And Samau picks him right back up here. Ace king of spades. Man, never trust the chip leader, but in a way, the reason they are the chip leader is because everything is going their way. No action for him. I got excited for nothing, but still.
I would probably say, fortunately for Yaki and Livschitz, they didn't pick up anything somewhat decent, right?
Absolutely.
One of those spots where, you know, you see the big chip leader open on the button nonetheless, and you're thinking, okay, give me something decent, and this is going to be pushed right back into his face, but nope. Nothing there to fight with.
Yeah.
And Samau, while it's no ace king, queen jack off, definitely qualifier to come in with the raise. And Donnie, one more time, remind the audience of Yaki's position here, because we are down to 5. Top 4 would be significant for him.
Yeah, so Yaki came in to this event in 59th place on the PGT leaderboard, 723 points. He's guaranteed 72 points right now in these $10,000 buy-in events on the PGT. Points are essentially 1-to-1, so they're cashing for $72,000. That's 72 points. That right there, if Yaki were to go out right now, would bump him up to 54th, ahead of your boy, Ronald Kaiser.
Yep.
The Dutchman. But he could climb a bit higher. You know, there's 283 points up top for the winner. So if he's able to get that, Yaki gets up to right around 1,000, which would put him into the top 40. He would leapfrog Jonathan Little and Justin Saliba, who have the last 2 spots on the leaderboard currently, and get up in there into what I believe would be 39th place. So he would still be on that, you know, delicate bubble area, but getting into that top 40, of course, if Yaki does go on to win this event, is extremely significant. So he's fighting for all the points he can have.
Points not significant for Nick Schulman, who could jump into the top 10 with a win here today. Remind people again of the structure of the championship, Donnie. It's going to be a 2-day event. We're going to stream both days. Payouts basically already set.
Yeah, so the PGT $1 Million Championship is a $1 million free roll put on by the PokerGO Tour. The top 40 players on the PGT leaderboard qualify, plus a select group of 10 Dream Seat winners, as we see Livschitz here go all in with a couple of kings. McEwen's out of the way with King Jack. Samau's got ace-10 suited, big chip lead. He's going to make the call, so here we go. Livschitz, tournament life on the line.
Livschitz in a great situation to find herself a much-needed double-up. Samau can spare the change as he started this hand with almost 8 million chips. 4-9 deuce, rainbow on the flop. Samau looking for an ace and an ace only. Backdoor wheel still available to him as well.
Nice and clean, though, for Victoria.
Turn card is the 3 of diamonds. No longer so clean as Samau picks up some 5s, 4 outs as well. Livschitz looking on, tense, and a 10 on the river. While it pairs up Samau, doesn't do any damage to her. The kings remain out in front, and Livschitz now comfortably in 3rd place.
650.
A nice double there for Victoria. She's been patient. She found a hand to go with. It was, of course, the premium kings, and she got it done. Back to the PGT Championship, the PGT leaderboard. So the top 40 that qualify via the points, and then the 10 select Dream Seat winners. So the PGT Championship is going to be capped at 50 players. $1 million free roll. The top 6 are going to pay, and there's $500,000 up top for the winner of that event. It's coming up on January 10th and 11th. Streaming of both days will take place on PokerGO. And then starting chips are determined by your leaderboard finishing position, and then the Dream Seat qualifiers will qualify with 125,000 chips, which will be 125 big blinds. As we see McEwen here, his turn to get his money in from the button. 550K for him.
Oh, wow. The snap call from Bryce Yockey. Classic race situation here.
Dinner flip.
Yeah, we should save a dinner on this one.
3 versus ace king. McEwen slightly ahead with the pocket pair. Both stacks.
Run it twice.
3
Or
times.
no, first board
Heavily.
doesn't count.
2 ice
First
twice, but the
spin
first board
don't
doesn't count? All right.
7-7-10 on the flop. Board pair would also crush McEwen's 3s as Yockey looks for an ace, a king, or a 10 right now.
7. Picture. 7.
Paint card would make the
Paint
sweat
out there.
even bigger.
6 of clubs.
Paint.
It is the jack of spades, so we got that paint card. 16 outs now for Yockey as McEwen dangles above the abyss here, holding on for dear life.
Can we sweat it?
Players looking to sweat the action. Yockey doesn't want to see it. It is the 10 of hearts, and the board pairs a second time, crushing the 3s of McEwen as Bryce Yockey rakes this one in, adds 1.25 million to his stack as we reduce the field here to the final 4. Massive implications for Yockey in the race for the top 40 of the PGT Championship, and Matthew McEwen heads for the exit. He will collect $72,150, so not a bad showing for him in event number 1, as the final 4 are guaranteed $100 short of $100,000. Action continues here. Yockey and Livschitz, the 2 shorter stacks.
1.6, yeah.
How aware do you think Yockey is, Donnie, of all the points?
Yeah, I think he's pretty in tune with everything that's going on the PGT and the leaderboard. You know, he may not be knowing, like, okay, I just got up to 4th place at least, so I'm going to be moving up to X spot on the leaderboard. I don't think it's that detailed, but has a general awareness of things and where he's at, and the more points that he can earn, the better. Now getting 100 points is Yaki. You know, he's going to get a nice little boost here in the first event. Still 5 events to go as part of the PGT Last Chance series. See a couple of spades holdings here going to battle. Schulman versus Livschitz. Ace King 4, all red. But a texture here that Schulman likely going to continue with, I would guess.
Fold.
Minimum bet, and Victoria's out of the way.
Shout out to everyone tuned in on both PokerGo and YouTube. Thank you for watching. We got plenty of action from the studio in the coming days. Event 2 final table tomorrow, and then 4 more final tables starting on Monday, leading into the upcoming championship. And Donnie, that's followed up pretty quickly by our kickoff series.
Yeah, the PGT kickoff will kick off the new season of the PokerGo Tour, January 21st, I believe it is, January 20th. It's one of those 2 days. Okay, check pgt.com/schedule, and it's on there. But 5 events, I believe. We'll be streaming those final tables as well. That, of course, will lead into our first major of the season, the PokerGo Cup, coming up in February.
Massive action here at the final table. Victoria Livschitz shoves over the top of the raise from Joe Samao. She's all in for 1.15 million with the king-queen offsuit. We got a coin flip on our hands yet again as Samao with pocket eights looks to reduce the field to just 3 players. And Livschitz finds herself all in for the second time in just a few hands. This time she needs to hit, and there it is. King 10-5. Livschitz picks up a pair of queens as Samao is down to just an 8 to turn things around in his favor. 2.5 million in the middle. 9 on the turn. Situation remains unchanged. Samao needs an 8, or Livschitz will double up. And it is the queen of spades. Livschitz makes trips. And it looks as though she had her eyes closed for that showdown.
Well, that's her thing. I think we might have saw it during Poker Masters maybe, but Livschitz just closes her eyes. She'll look when it's done. Somebody will tell her. If you noticed on the last hand when she was all in with the kings versus Samao, on the turn, when he turned the wheel gutter, Samao said, oops, which prompted Livschitz to actually open her eyes, thinking, oh, maybe he did hit an ace. But it was not. Her second double up here now through the chip leader. Fighting back is Victoria. Victoria Livschitz has 1 previous win this PGT season. This is her 15th cash of the PGT season.
Livschitz picks up 2 5s.
10 seconds.
Up to 25 big blinds now as
200,000.
Yaki is the short stack with 16 bigs.
Call.
Ace, queen, queen on the flop. Big cards. Looking scary.
Check.
$125.
125.
And Livschitz with a small stab is able to take it down.
Punto.
Samau in the blind battle, attacking the short stack of Yaki with 4 deuce suited, and hard to play back for Yaki, who lets go of the 7-3.
Fold.
Things have quieted down quite a bit here inside the PokerGO Studio as we look at playpokergo.com. Fun and free online poker. Deal yourself in at playpokergo.com. Go and check it out. The perfect entertainment while you watch the live stream. It's been a while. You guys had to wait on the release of our new game, but it is here right now. Also available, by the way, on iOS and Android. Start playing right now on playpokergo.com. Hopefully in the future, Donnie, we can do some leagues, some leaderboards.
Yeah, I would love to.
Lots of stuff possible.
10 seconds.
2.
Samau raising it up to 200K.
10 seconds.
King Jack and Yaki, Donnie with a shovable hand perhaps on the button. Ace-8 suited. He is the short stack.
800,000.
300,000.
I mean, one of those committing 3 bets here.
Oh.
Seconds.
Samau, let's go to the King Jack. Donnie, what strength hand does Samau need to have there in order to continue and put Yaki at risk?
Probably some pairs, I don't know, 7s plus. King, queen suited, I think he just goes with. Yeah.
Action folds to Livschitz with King 10 on the button. As we're playing four-handed, of course,
So
hand
20.
ranges start widening up a little bit.
25.
Somehow in the big blind. Comes along with queen 9.
Heads up.
Ace Jack 3 rainbow flop comes out. Livschitz with king high still out in front. Also, perhaps easiest for her to just represent that ace and maybe take it down here on the flop.
125.
And indeed she does. Yeltsin in the chat says, it seems that Schulman is going to be the winner. He is the most attentive. Donnie, how much do you think these players pick up during final table play? How much of this is sort of reading into your opponents as the action develops? Or, as I've heard Nick Petrangelo say in the past, this perhaps just becomes a math contest?
200.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it's probably mostly a math contest with the added variable of your opponents. You know, you probably have this kind of general idea of like the math, if you were to break it out as an equation. Then you start like saying like, okay, Schulman's doing this, or Samao's doing this, so I'm going to adjust this. You know, like right now, Samao is the big chip leader and being more aggressive, so you know, maybe you have to kind of adjust your strategy or open things up a little bit more or attack, you know, a certain way. So it's a blend, and it's fluid, of course, you know, because it could change if you know, if Samao were to lose the chip lead. Let's say he doubles up Schulman. I mean, Schulman didn't come out of the gate firing. I think Samao's been a much more aggressive chip leader than Schulman. I mean, Schulman did eventually start, and it started with that king 3 hand when he tried to pull that crazy bluff, right? So
Looking this side now. You change our sides.
Well, I changed the situation. I don't have enough chips anymore to do the wall. So I'll just have to like look like
first world problems for Braciaki over there.
Serious
you're
poverty.
looking at it. Okay, I didn't realize that actually. Sorry.
Two.
10 seconds.
Schulman now the one coming in for the raise. He's been rather quiet here at this level so far, as Livschitz defends with ace-5 off and queen jack 5.
Check.
Terrific flop for Schulman as Livschitz finds a small piece of it as well.
$175.
And Schulman continues for 175.
Oh.
Livschitz gonna peel one here.
King of clubs on the turn.
Check.
Sort of sizing Schulman wants to come with here.
Time extension.
Schulman continues straight away here.
little under half pot here, and
Fold.
probably a spot. Yeah, I mean Victoria's just can't do much there.
All right, players at the 5-minute mark. We'll draw some hands. Ace.
Sounds like we are approaching
Two hands.
the blinds going up yet again. Schulman with a nice little chip up here as he starts to encroach on Samau. Livschitz just always seems to be thinking about what has just transpired, or perhaps she's feeling a bit of the pressure of the moment, while Yaki seemingly untouched by the nerves, just yawning, feeling a little sleepy after playing till midnight last night. And I think the stamina element of these series cannot be understated. I know this is only day 2, but it's pretty crazy when you play 12 hours a day, every day, and you always have to be on your A game because there are no easy tables in a tournament like this.
I mean, you really can't just coast through these tournaments. You know, this isn't your regional $1,000 tournament. Not that I'm, you know, trying to throw any strays that way, but you're not just basically an autopilot. I mean, every hand matters. Even when you're not in a hand, you're likely want to be paying attention to what your opponents are doing and their various tendencies. So mentally taxing for sure. You have a long day 1. You got to come back when it all matters the most here at the final table.
Time extension.
So we see Livschitz elect to come with a 3-bet here with the Jack-9 suited. Samau has enough of a hand he deems to come along with a call. Queen 5-5. Rainbow.
Check.
Check.
Livschitz starting things off with a check here. Might be a little bit of just kind of waving the white flag on this type of texture, especially against a player like Samau, who obviously has the chips to do severe damage to your stack. Is in position on you. And I think kind of similar to what we saw earlier when we saw Samau take an approach with that ace-8 suited against the 10s of McEwen. You know, Samau just electing to call pre-flop in position, make the hand a little bit longer,
One more.
and ultimately get your opponent to fold out on a later street, which he does there. So Samau back over 6 million now.
I didn't pay the
Nice and comfortable up on top.
I didn't pay it right.
Last hand 11.
Last hand of the level announced. As they always say, the price of poker going up. If you're catching us right now on YouTube and PokerGo, we're going to be with you until a winner is crowned. And we'll run that show back with the Event 2 final table tomorrow.
10 seconds.
As Bryce Yaki finds ace-10. Very respectable, given his stack size. Gonna be pleased to see a hand like this. And there is Samau. The rich continue to receive the big cards. Samau with pocket kings. And we got some trickery on our hands, Donnie.
Yeah, playing this one slow, setting the trap, baby, and this is the trap right here. 10 high flop. Yaki also has that ace of clubs for the backdoor nut flush draw, so this money is probably going in.
Yeah, perfect flop from Yaki's perspective. However, he is yet to find out that Samau is holding the Cowboys here.
10 seconds.
150.
Yaki betting 150, of course, hoping for action here. He's got backdoor clubs, backdoor wheel draw, and top pair, top kicker. All the while, Samau has him dominated. The game of poker can just be so cruel, Donnie.
10 seconds.
Definitely can be. I mean, part of running well is just avoiding like these kind of situations that are essentially unavoidable, right? And there's not too much Yaki can do here, I mean, I think it's really hard to put your opponent on some hands that you're just getting crushed by. You know, like, is Samao really going to play like a 10-4, 10-3, stuff like that? I mean, maybe his most likely holding is probably like pocket, or sorry, 3-4, but he's got the kings here.
Yaki goes for the all-in shove. Samao snaps it off and is keen to table those kings immediately.
Got to fade 5 outs.
Bryce Yaki looking for a way to survive this. 26% equity means he is not dead yet. He's got plenty of backdoor potential here, and the deuce of hearts does give him additional outs. Ace 10 or 5 would save Yaki's tournament life. Otherwise, Samao will be up to over 8 million chips, and we will be three-handed. River card coming. It is the deuce of clubs. Bryce Yaki eliminated in 4th place. Quite the run for Yaki, who collects the necessary points to make himself a real contender to participate in the $1 million free roll in just 1 week's time. But for now, he'll collect just shy of $100,000 for his 4th place finish. And Samao now with the commanding chip lead, three-handed versus Nick Schulman and Victoria Livschitz, who are all guaranteed $127,000. 177 for second and 283 for first as we look at the cumulative winnings here at this final table. Funny stat, Drow Samao up 6 million. The other players both down in chips, even though they've made it to three-handed play. That is just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, as Samao must be sniffing that trophy a little bit here. And the win, a win's a win. You know, it matters a lot, and you don't get chances like this all the time. So he'll be stoked to be in this
150.
situation.
So this is where it goes up
It's a big
a
jump.
lot. 150 limit. Give me a second here.
Donnie, the price of poker really went up.
Yeah, this is that little bit of an awkward jump in these quote-unquote minors here on the PGT, right?
I see.
Notable about Yaki's elimination, he picked up 100 PGT leaderboard points. He goes from 723 to 823, which moves him up into 48th place. Not yet in the top 40, but if those players that we talked about earlier that are in the top 40 but don't have qualifying cashes, don't get the qualifying cashes, then Yaki could now, he's in that area where enough people, that group of players would get bumped into the top 40. So very important that he earned those 100 points and made that leap up the leaderboard.
It's all good? Thank you.
You have your time senses though again.
Thanks.
Sorry.
Ten seconds.
All in.
Livschitz going to pounce here, ace-3 suited. Should get it done. Quick check back here for Samao, and he's out of the way. Livschitz still fighting, gets out of that 10 big blind territory, up to 13, 14 big blinds here now.
If you're enjoying us on YouTube, please don't forget to smash that like button. It really helps us spread the word on our live streams here during this Last Chance series. Also, if you're so inclined, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've been putting out the bangers every single day. Shout out to the team, Joseph and Sean. Always looking for whatever is next that we can post. And I got a little fun inside scoop here, Donnie, for the fans. And I know you'll enjoy this as a poker history aficionado. Starting on Monday, will be putting out some of the full-length episodes of the World Series of Poker Europe main event of 2008. So if you haven't seen some of those old school games in a while, the 08 main event is going up starting on Monday. So it should be a lot of fun to just, you know, relive some of those moments, see some of those guys that were the big names back in the day, some of which are still active today, some of which have since faded into obscurity. As we arrive on the turn here in the small pot between Schulman and Samau.
$150.
Schulman bets 150 with his trips, hoping for Samau to catch some piece of it.
400,000.
And look at this, Donnie. Samau doing what Schulman did to him not too long ago, bluffing with nothing.
Yeah, I mean, the only way he can win this hand is taking it away from Schulman, so he's going to pounce, try and apply that pressure of the chip leader. You know, in theory, you know, I don't think it's the worst spot to leverage your stack against second position, knowing where Victoria Livschitz is. You know, you're really putting a lot of pressure on a 3, a 9, you know, really forcing Schulman to have a king here.
Ace of clubs hits on the river, puts a third club out there. Donnie, how will this affect Samau's appetite for a bluff?
I think he could pounce. 7 of clubs working a little bit here does deny some flushes that your opponent could have. And ultimately, what are you going to do with what is 8 high here?
25.
I don't think Schulman's in a spot where he can do anything else but just call, and he does click the call button.
Wow.
Somehow just going to muck his hand.
So the bluff that Schulman tried against Samau not too long ago now gets flipped around, and Nick Schulman, the benefactor perhaps of his own aggression, Donnie.
Yeah.
Schulman up to 4.8 million while Samau sits on 7 million. Livschitz, in a way, a bit of a spectator here in the battle between Samau and Schulman. She, of course, hoping for a double up.
She was also hoping on that hand they would just get the money and go crazy.
Seconds.
Samau with queen 10 off in the small blind.
Oui.
All in.
He moves all in onto Livschitz, who has the same hand but of the suited variety, and she makes the call with queen 10. All in showdown here between two almost identical hands. Not much to fear for either player, as Livschitz hopes for clubs to give herself a bit of a sweat. And there are the clubs. Ace 4-3. Livschitz now 36% to find a double up here in this unlikely scenario. Chop still the most likely outcome, as Livschitz has 20% left heading to the river. River card is the 9 of diamonds, and even though we got excited there for a second, this hand will result in no blood being drawn by either player.
That's good.
Sweat?
A sweat indeed, as Livschitz remains on just shy of 2 million.
10 seconds.
300,000.
If you're looking to learn more about the PGT, check out pgt.com. We have live reporting, live updates of all of our events as Livschitz moves all in with pocket fours. Schulman quickly gets out of the way.
It's like 2 million.
Queen 9 off in the big blind, perhaps just a little bit too light, but we're getting closer to calling territory here.
10 seconds.
Little update from the room. So far, 68 entries in event number 2. Registration still open for quite some time, as I see Chris Brewer and Byron Caverman near the top of the counts, along with David Coleman and Alex Foxon. WSB main event champion Jonathan Tamayo, the first player to get eliminated. Donnie, Tamayo needs the cash.
He does. I mean, it's unlimited re-entry, and you know he won a lot of money, so I'm sure he can afford to put a couple bullets in. I mean, I want him to get it, right? I mean,
right.
He's in good standing. If he can just get that third cash, it'd be great to have the WC main event champ in the PGT $1 Million Championship, of course. So
1925 behind.
Go get that cash, Tamayo. Come on, let's go.
10 seconds. $375.
I fold.
Here's a look at the beautiful Las Vegas skyline to remind you of Season 14 of High Stakes Poker premiering on January 13. Don't miss the action as we got some new faces in the mix, including Jared Blesnick, Scott Seaver, Ryan Feldman, and Sam Kiki, along with regulars such as Phil Hellmuth, Andrew Roble, and Alan Keating, who are all back in action. Nick Schulman will be back on the commentary as you get to watch him play right now. This man, of course, has the commentary chops, as well as AJ Benza will accompany him in the booth for some legendary high-stakes action. And I can already tell you, Season 14 of High Stakes Poker is yet again a classic.
Fold.
Schulman limping in from the small blind. Action on Samau in the big.
That's it.
Decides just to check. Donnie, how much does Livschitz small stack bother Schulman here? Because, of course, he has to be a little more careful going up against Samau.
Yeah, I mean, just be a little bit more cautious. Don't go too crazy.
150.
That said, we've already seen him go crazy. Schulman comes out here with a bet. Probably figuring that this board favors him, thinking, you know, Samau is going to raise a lot of his aces in position. So I can just, you know, fold out all of those kind of just middling hands that I just don't want to give a free turn card to. Samao, of course, has the ace for 3 of a kind and does come along. 6 here on the turn.
Check.
Schulman slowing it down here, electing to check.
Two.
Schulman with the easy lay down here on the turn.
Seconds.
9,000.
Schulman ace-5 of diamonds with a nice one here. And Samao, speaking of nice hands, 3-handed ace-8 of spades. We still favored ace-5, right, Donnie? As far as strength of hand.
I mean, no, ace-8 is dominating.
How can
this
I?
time.
You can't make a wheel with ace-8, Donnie.
Yeah, sure, but you can just rip this in.
Be close.
mean,
I can't
Schulman's
go all
just-
in if you go all in, bro.
If I knew it, I would just raise call.
Schulman, of course, hinting at the fact that if given the chance, he would have stuffed it in there.
Yeah, he might have came with a 4-bet rip,
Oh,
you know,
man.
with that lovely solver favorable hand, the ace-5 suited.
Yep.
Nicely done.
Samao up over 8 million in chips now, just cruising.
10 seconds.
3.
Queen 3 suited for Schulman in the big blind. Giving it some thought.
Call.
Call.
Time extension.
Heads up.
Makes the call.
You're good. Just before. Check. $2.25.
Schulman picking up the flush draw on 10-8-7 as Samao continues. Donnie, do we just always have to keep the pot small here given Livschitz's presence at this table still?
I mean, you don't always have to.
10 seconds.
I would lean that yes, but
I 25
I mean, I think Schulman has exhibited throughout this final table that he's playing to win, maybe more so than the other players. Not that, you know, Samao now is not playing to win given the position that he's in, but I think Schulman has certainly shown, starting with that bluff very early on against Samao, that he's not going to be as concerned about pay jumps, point jumps, that sort of thing. You know, we know where he is on the PGT leaderboard. He's very much locked into that spot, or possibly a little bit better, so he can kind of have a little bit more freedom here, breathing room to get creative, and that can be a big benefiting characteristic when you're trying to fight for a title. Does take that one there with a check raise and up to 4.5 million. Samau back below 8 million, but of course still healthy as the chip leader.
Oh. Check. Heads up.
Queen 10 9 2 diamonds. Samau's king, a very important card here.
Check. 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 Checks down.
King High is going to win it.
Comes with the king.
All right, chat, let us know. Who do you think is going to win this one? Is Samau going to close it out up to over 8 million, or can we perhaps see, you know, a single double up from Schulman would, of course, flip the script entirely, and Livschitz could find her way back into the hunt after 2 double ups, so who knows? Samau on almost 60% of the remaining chips right now.
Call.
Time extension.
Just comes with the call.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Okay. Heads up.
Livschitz checks. And Queen 9-10 rolls off.
Didn't we just see that?
I think we did, yeah.
You gotta watch those cards, dealer.
Check.
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 No incentive for anyone to get out of line here. So Livschitz has got sort of a lock on this hand as far as showdown goes, but
It's probably more likely that Samau would be the one stepping out of line here. Just, again, being able to put pressure as the big chip leader on the shorter stack.
10 seconds.
He's also got a hand that probably doesn't figure to have any sort of showdown value. And he is just going to come with it. 375 here.
Fold.
Livschitz gets out of the way. Nothing she can do there.
10 seconds.
$275.
Seconds.
Samau attacking from the button as Livschitz finds ace-3 off. She is down to just 7 big blinds.
Oh.
Are we going to see a shove here? And the question is answered before I can say the full sentence. Schulman with the insta-fold. Price must be right here for Samau, Donnie.
It's 1.1.
Yeah, I mean,
10 seconds.
seeing the cards, I think the price is right. Samau's got to figure it out. If he thinks he's live, I think he certainly calls here.
I'm almost surprised it's taken him this long.
Time extension.
Livschitz shove is for 7 big blinds, and there it is. Samau runs the numbers, makes the call, and Victoria Livschitz tournament life is on the line yet again as the man from Brazil is trying to send her to the rail with King 5 of diamonds. Livschitz 57% to survive and get back up to 2.6 million, or else will be heads up between arguably the two most successful players at this table, and the flop very kind to our chip leader. Samau flopping 2 pair, and it's Livschitz saving grace that she catches at least a small piece of this flop. A 3 or an ace would still give her the lead, and it's a 4 of clubs on the turn. Livschitz now also with a wheel draw. So ace, deuce, or 3 for Livschitz. If she doesn't find one of those, she'll be our 3rd place finisher at the Event 1 final table of this PGT Last Chance series. Is it going to be there? And it is not going to be there.
Good game, Victoria.
It's a king on the river. Samau fills up, makes a full house, and Victoria
Can we
Livschitz
have 5 minutes?
gets eliminated in 3rd place,
Is that possible?
taking home $127,650 as the final two are now guaranteed $177 with $283,000 up top for the eventual champion. Donnie, was this the heads up that you expected?
Yeah. I mean, I think as much as I could expect it, right? Just given the stacks coming in, knowing the playing styles of the two players, you know, I think Schulman, he obviously came in with the chip lead, so he was in a good position. For Samau, you know, he can certainly get after it, so if he was able to get some chips early, which he did, and it was actually because of Schulman, you know, he was going to be a force to have to reckon with there. So, yeah, I would say if you were to pick 2 players, it would probably have been these 2.
All right, heads up action about to get underway. Good time to remind you of PlayPokerGo.com, available on web, iOS, and Android. It's a fun and free online poker game, so deal yourself in right now. Go to PlayPokerGo.com and get yourself into the action. All right, here we are. Heads up action underway. Not wasting any time. Samau versus Schulman, 9.8 million versus 4 million. Schulman's got some work to do. He is the underdog heading into heads-up play. Jack 9-7, 6 on the turn. Samau's jack out in front.
$325.
10 seconds.
Jack 4.
Quick, casual hand for Samau, bringing him up to 10 million. Almost a 3-to-1 lead right now.
One hand and one to go.
Guy loves an ace, huh?
50-50.
Ace 4-5, 2 diamonds. Nobody really connecting with this one.
Small with the call there on the end with Jack high. Gets it done. Jack 9 high, I should say.
Guys, also heads up to reduce.
First couple pots here of heads up play going to the Brazilian somehow. Blinds are now up to 100,000, 200,000. This one started off with Schulman limping the button with 9-5. Somehow checked his option. Somehow flops. Pair of 8s here on the Jack 8-4. Checks to Schulman, who bets 200K. Somehow makes the call. Ace of diamonds here on the turn.
Okay.
Check, check through to the 10 of diamonds on the river. 2 pair now for Samau. 10s and 8s. Backdoor diamonds did come in. But heads up here, enough of a hand for Samau to come out with a bet.
750.
Comes a 3/4 pot, 750 into 1 million. Gets it done. Quick fold there from Schulman. Schulman now below 3 million in chips. Largest lead of the match for Samau. He's won all these early hands. Stretching out this gap up over 11 million.
All in.
All in.
All in and a call here. Jam from Samau, ace-3 off from the button. Schulman finds the ace-7 suited and puts his chips in. And here we go.
Could be all over here, but Schulman is the favorite going into this showdown. And of course, plenty of chop options here. Ace-7 versus ace-3. No way to escape without hinting at that chop, as we see King 6-5 Rainbow pop up, and Samau now looking for a 3 and a 3 only. Board pair, of course, could increase the chances of a chop, but for now, things are looking really good for Schulman. 71% equity to find the clean double up. And speaking of chops, the 6 pairs on the turn.
Deuce.
I think it's a 9.
I think it's a 9-2.
River card is the 6 of hearts, and it is indeed a chop. Trips with the king. That must be deflating for Schulman, Donnie.
At least you didn't lose it. No, but yeah, when you get your money in
Poker,
there.
a game of infinite complexity. How simple can we make it? Every hand I play is a teacher, each emotion a guide. Our experience and technological innovation will help you unlock your game's potential. Octopi Poker. Pursue mastery.
Quick little interruption there from Andrew Lucky Chewy Lichtenberger to let us know about OctopiPoker.ai. Go check them out. All paying subscribers to Octopi Poker are eligible for our Poker Masters seat giveaway.
How much is it?
As Schulman continues with the pressure, moves all in for 2.65.
$2,150,000.
No, it's more. Right? That's 1.8.
Oh, 2.65.
Yeah. All good.
2.55, no?
2.65.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Samau with the deep sigh and the fold. I mean, Schulman's got a lot of work to do. That double up would have been making the match pretty even right now. He's about a 3-1 dog. A look at the trophy that awaits the winner. It has to feel great for these guys to start the year with a win. We saw the win last year for Negreanu at the start of the year. Really kicked things off for him, ultimately leading, of course, to a win in the 50K PPC.
Check, check here on the monotone Jack 9-7. 8 of hearts on the turn, so Samau makes his flush.
Okay.
Albeit a very small one. Samau takes it there. Widening the gap. Pushing Schulman closer to the brink, of course.
What's your favorite restaurant here in Vegas?
Vegas? Ferraro's. Italian restaurant.
Good spot.
By, it's on like Paradise and Harmon, kind of.
Farrell's.
Ferraro's.
Ferraro's.
Yeah.
Oh, Ferraro's.
I can't believe I've never been.
It's a good spot. You would like it.
2,500 reviews, 4.6 stars. Sounds like a place we have to go. Speaking as if the wife is listening to this. No, she is not. But I'm sending her this right now.
She maybe has gone. I mean, she's
maybe.
been here for longer than you have.
That's true. All right, back to the action. King 10-4. Rainbow flop. Samau pairs his 10.
Okay.
Donnie, what approach could lead to Schulman getting back into this match, or are we simply
just hold when you're dominating?
I was gonna say, are we simply talking about card distribution just because of how tough Samau is?
I mean, yeah, of course. He's got to find a spot to get his money in. You know, it kind of seems obvious, but it's not easy against Samau. You know, we know Samau has the big chip lead here, but as we've watched him throughout this heads-up match so far, Samau's not just blasting away. You know, a lot of kind of cautious play. You know, tiptoeing around, making sure that he's not doing anything too crazy. Yeah, we did see him jam that ace-3 and run into the ace-7 of Schulman, but you know that's a pretty standard hand given the stack depth. So it's not going to be easy to pry chips away from Samau. You know, I think the last thing that Samau wants to do is give Schulman a double up, right? He's got him in the spot where he can't really hurt him too much. So if he can just kind of bob and weave, take a little bit of chips here, a little bit of chips there, and then ultimately go in for that final finishing move and finish it off.
The same hands going head-to-head here.
Lot of similar hands between these two so far in heads-up. You know, we saw Jack-9 versus Jack-7, Ace-3 versus Ace-7. Here, of course, both players have an offsuit Jack-6. Samau in position is just going to come with a bet. He also has that Jack of Spades in his hand, which does deny some continues from Schulman. Schulman going to come along. Ace on the turn.
Actually goes check to the river with 1 million in the middle. Neither player should feel as though showdown is the right outcome here, but Schulman not looking to bet this one, and they're going to chop it up.
Wow.
Jack high versus Jack high. You call with a Jack high?
You have like 2.4?
Less. Yeah, 2.35 with the small.
Thank you.
Queen 8 off for Schulman.
All in?
Moves all in for 11 big blinds. What does Samau find?
Nothing. Trash, baby. Into the muck it goes. And we'll never know what he had. Could have folded aces. Could have folded aces.
All in.
Cool.
Wow, look at this. Two big aces going head-to-head, especially when it comes to heads-up play. Ace-10 for Schulman versus Ace-Jack for Samau. And Samau now rapidly closing in on the trophy as his Ace-Jack is dominating the Ace-10 of Schulman. 5.3 million in the middle. If Schulman wins this one, however, we're going to have a real match on our hands. All right, let's see it. Queen, queen, jack on the flop. Schulman looking for a king to make Broadway as Samau hits a pair of jacks. Schulman goes from 3 outs to 4 outs, so can't be too unhappy with the flop right now. Turn card is the 5 of spades. Schulman drawing to a king
Ace.
and a king only.
Right.
That's fair.
Right.
Ace for the chop. Maybe? River card. The king! Wow! Schulman
neither.
spikes Broadway,
That was-
and the
that
match
sounded
continues.
Not greedy.
Nick Schulman doubles up to 5.3 million as event 1 of the PGT Last Chance continues. Wow.
Hello, cowboy.
Damn. Donnie, I'm going to go out and claim that this was the biggest river card of the year so far.
Wow, bold. Super bold.
Eric in the chat says, we got a game, boys. Indeed, we do. 42 big blinds versus 26 big blinds. Schulman right back in it. Schulman comes in for the limp, and Samau raises the price to see the flop right away.
10 seconds.
Schulman does not back down just yet as Queen 6-6 falls on the flop. Samau finds what he is looking for. Donnie, if we find top pair in a 3-bet pot, I guess it's not 3-bet, but it's a raise after a limp, and we find this kind of flop with this kind of hand, do we simply always continue betting, or can we try some trickery, as it is unlikely that Schulman has a hand you can really extract value from?
Yeah, but heads up is a little bit different, you know, different than when you're 6-handed, full table, stuff like that, where Schulman can be more prone to float. He can call with a lot more high card type of hands. You know, maybe before it's like full table he's calling with some ace highs. Maybe now calls with the king high, calls with the jack high, stuff like that, right? So I think when you flop a hand like Samau has, yeah, you just start going for some value, and also just, you know, denying some free equity against hands like, let's say, I don't know, a king 8 or a king 7 or something like that. Don't give that high card just a free shot at drilling something on the turn. Samau does come with a check here. Schulman picks up a 9, checks it back. 6 on the river, so boat over boat.
You're making it sound So dramatic, Donnie. Boat over boat.
Well, you know, that's our job.
It is funny though with this run out after a small flop bet and check on the turn. It's an unlikely sort of scenario here. Do you think that Schulman could get overly confident here?
6.5.
I think he's probably going to lean call. It's a pretty quick call at that.
All right, so Schulman calls for 650, gets shown the bad news, and most of the chips that he just won by doubling up are sent right back to Brazil.
Back under 4 million, excuse me, is Nick Schulman. Somehow back over 10 million. And Schulman was going to be losing chips either way on that river. Had somehow decided to check, let's say. I would certainly expect Schulman to come with a value bet of some sort with that full house. Also going to call a bet there as well, so just an unavoidable spot for Schulman on the river, but we move on. Looks like the Brazilians are starting to come out in the chat. I mean, I see a lot of them. Here we go. Schulman putting it in. Ace-9 off.
How much is it?
This hand's going to hit the
3.5,
mark.
right?
Yeah, 3.5,
Yeah,
50.
Can I get a vamos in the chat?
Schulman with a limp, and now it's Samao with a hand that is going to want to play for more. A couple of 8s.
600.
Don't know Schulman's hand just yet, but it's good enough for him to limp call. 1.4 million out there. Ace Queen 4 with a couple of clubs. Small bet here, 300,000 from Samao. And Schulman gives it up.
All in.
All in.
Somehow. Just goes for maximum pressure, removing any headaches from further decisions.
Right.
Schulman just shy of 15 big blinds to work with now.
All right, chat. Is Schulman gonna finish off the full comeback and work his way into a win? What do we think? Schulman ace-8 off, and he's just going to go all in here. By the way, we're playing 100K, 200K, so the blinds have gone up again. Feels like it's just a matter of time before these guys find two hands worth clashing with. Is Samao supposed to shove every playable hand now?
No, not necessarily. Schulman's got a nice one here. Look at this, ace-king.
All in.
10 seconds.
Schulman with the shove, and how strong is this going to look to
Like
Samao?
right?
16 big blinds.
3.150.
Samao really thinking about it here. Reaching for his time bank chips, signaling perhaps a bit of deep thinking is required to make up his mind here. Donnie, what are you leaning towards in a situation like this for 16 bigs?
I would lean fold. You know, I think there's going to be probably enough ace-X in Schulman's shoving range here that would make this a fold. I mean, maybe there are some hands that you're happy to see, like, I don't know, the Queen Jacks of the world. Even some smaller pairs that you're flipping with, but also just given the fact of how this match has been going, you know, Samao's pretty much been in control, so do you need to take a kind of a more...
Oh, baby.
He does.
Here we go. Massive all-in, and Schulman now commanding favorite in the hand.
Let me see.
There's a way.
King, 4-4.
Mm-hmm.
That's somehow asking for a chop.
It's
I
out
don't
there.
know. It's going to be hard.
It's out there somehow. 6.5 million in the middle. Schulman can double up and still not be the chip leader. That's how far Samao has been in front during this match. But hey, this is the best case scenario for Nick Schulman as 10-7 deuce rolls off. Schulman's got the spades covered as well. Samao looking for a 9 and a 9 only to end this tournament right here on the spot. Turn is the ace of hearts, and that will do it. Schulman gets the check mark, finds himself doubling up to 6.5 million, and now we have a real game.
Oh, yes.
That's right.
Just about 4 big blinds separating these two stacks now.
I opened shove, and I was unsure. I didn't want to limp call, but I don't want to just shove as well.
Yeah. I think shove, though. I think shove.
Yeah.
What did I have?
16.
Oh, I had 16.
All right. Does this make Schulman the favorite, Donnie? Or am I getting ahead of myself?
I mean, it's probably just a coin flip at this point, to be honest. I know Samao has the slight lead, so you probably give him the slight advantage, you know, 55-45, something like that.
10 seconds.
550.
$550, right?
550.
Schulman with a raise here on the button. Somehow makes the call. 3-3 deuce with a couple of clubs. See if Schulman wants to continue here, being the pre-flop aggressor. Would lean yes, and he's going to do just that.
325.
325 is the bet. Call from Samau. Almost 2 million out there in the middle. Queen of diamonds on the turn. That drills Samau. He had the best hand already, but likely feeling quite a bit more comfortable having hit that queen. Check, check, 7 of spades on the river. Check mark before Samau.
$1.675.
1,675,000 is the bet. Quick fold from Schulman, and Samau right back to his winning ways. Up over 8 million. Widening the gap now once again. Here we go. Min raise here on the button from Samau, and Schulman finds a king-queen of the offsuit variety. Schulman working with a little bit under 30 big blinds here. There's the jam. It's going to put this ace-deuce in a tough spot.
Understandable jam here from Schulman.
$5.4.
5.425.
Into the muck it goes, and Schulman takes that one, fighting right back.
I mean, right now, with the blinds as big as they are, like, there's so much fighting going on that really makes a massive difference, you know? 39 versus 30 big blinds, every hand worth a ton. These guys both very well studied and experienced, aiming for the win.
That's him.
Seconds.
550.
Schulman, 550 from the button. Samau with Jack-8 of spades. He's going to come along. King-10 deuce, 2 diamonds on board. Schulman needs the jack that Samau is holding. if we're Schulman here, we're pretty pleased seeing this flop, right?
Yeah, I mean, you obviously have the gutter, which is good equity there. Flop that probably favors you as the pre-flop raiser. You can just attack here, and Schulman does just that and doesn't have to go any further. Takes it down.
As close as we've ever been. 6.8 million versus 7.1 million. The heads-up battle is still underway here inside the PokerGO Studio. Quick reminder here that Season 14 of High Stakes Poker premieres on January 13 exclusively on PokerGO. Use promo code LASTCHANCE25 for $20 off your first year of a new annual sub. Poker's most iconic cash game show brings you Alan Keating, Phil Hellmuth, Jared Blesnick, Scott Seaver, and quite a few more new faces, including Ryan Feldman from Hustler Casino fame, as well as Sam Kiki, who's doing his best Sam Farha impression. And that's all I'll say. That's all I'll say about this.
Fun season for sure. I'm excited to dive into it and watch it all.
Oh, absolutely.
January 13th, boys and girls.
I get them early, the episodes, but I kind of want to wait until they release.
Yeah, I mean, I know I could, you know, dig through our system and watch them early, but I like watching them, you know, live when they come out.
I can already tell you guys watching, there were some huge pots this season. 7-Jack-6 on the flop here. Schulman King High out in front in this very tight battle. Arriving on the river after a bunch of checks. King of Spades completing the board.
Check.
Schulman takes that one with that pair of kings on the river, even though Zhao picked up the lead on the turn. So Schulman now up into the chip lead. The first time during heads-up play. Schulman began this final table as the chip leader. Gave it away when he ran a big river check raise all-in bluff against that man right there, the Brazilian Zhao Samao. Samao picked him off with the nuts. It was a Broadway straight. Moved into the chip lead and somehow held the chip lead from that point on until that last hand. And now he's back in second place. Not by a lot, but notable, of course, that Schulman is now in front. Emmanuel in the chat says, are these two guys like really, really bad at heads up? Is that because why? Because it's not over yet? I mean,
right. I wonder what the thinking process is there.
Somehow picks that one up, tightening the gap once again. Is, you know, just kind of a little jab here, a little jab there. 7-4 off here on the button for Samau. Just going to put this one into the raise bucket. 10-3 off. Not good enough for Schulman. Into the muck it goes. And now Samau's back out in front.
I mean, they're giving us the proper amount of entertainment. We're getting our money's worth, but that's easy to do when you're not paying at all.
As a reminder, we will be streaming every final table from this PGT Last Chance series. This is the first of 6. We'll be going daily, except for Sunday. We're off on Sunday, but we'll be back tomorrow. We'll take Sunday off. You guys can watch some football. And then we will return on Monday, all leading into the PGT $1 Million Championship, January 10th and 11th. Live on PokerGO, both days.
900.
Schulman comes with a limp, and Samau says, this one's not too good enough to really take a flop with, so I'm just going to raise, try and take it here. And he does just that, stretching out the lead a little bit here is Samau. $250K big blind, so about 55 big blinds in play total. These two are playing heads up for a difference of about $106,000 in prize money. First place, $283,000. Second place, $177.6.
10 seconds.
As is sort of a custom with the big blind ante in play. Not a whole lot of folding going on, which of course brings us to the flop with lots of mediocre hands, such as Jack-6, Samau limping in, Schulman checking. Now we're looking at 6, 7, 8 of the, with 2 diamonds on board.
Yeah, not a lot of folding pre-flop. You know, a lot of limping in position. Also not a lot of raising in position. Samau with the best of it here with his pair of 6s. Also has a gutter. Schulman's going to take a stab here. He's got the king of diamonds in his hand. Samau's going to come along. Interesting river card coming up here. And then we just get the 3 of spades.
The river doesn't deliver. Still though, 1.5 million in the middle. Schulman took the betting lead on the turn. Let's see if he wants to continue firing. But how do we read into this texture, Donnie? Does it sort of scare us off from firing again?
And I think if you want to leverage that king of diamonds in your hand, you certainly could here. And look at Schulman. That's a chunky bet. I mean,
all right, so Schulman fires out 3 million. Twice the size of the pot. Schulman, by far and away the most creative player at this table, willing to make big wagers, making it fun for us to watch. His earlier check raise all in backfired in a terrible way, but it doesn't dissuade him from making a big move, and this one works. Nick Schulman gets away with one, and look at that. The chip stacks have now officially flipped into Schulman's favor. He's up to 7 million with Samau trailing by about 1 big blind.
Yeah, Schulman there recognizing the situation. Of course has that blocker with the king of diamonds in his hand. He can put a lot of pressure on a bunch of hands, you know, like the one that Samau had there, the 1 pair type of hands. Does get a better hand to fold. Not that we can, you know, blame Samau. I think all of us out there probably would have folded there to that type of pressure from Schulman. Well done by him.
600.
Schulman comes in with the raise here. Somehow finds queen 6 off.
10 seconds.
$1.7.
1.7.
3-bet. Gets it done. Quick fold out of Schulman. So these two are fighting, man. Emmanuel, I don't know what you were talking about earlier, saying these guys are really bad at heads up. And we just saw a great bluff out of Schulman. Nice 3-bet bluff here from Samao with the queen 6 off. I mean, these guys are playing above the rim. Come on. Let's go.
Nathan in the chat says, dang, what a river bet. Hurst says, Samao now seriously demoralized. Samao totally given up.
So Hurst has been all over the anti-Samao train. This whole chat, he's been, you know, you can see the frustration creeping in Samao's disappointed little face. The River King is a dagger in Samao's psyche.
Oh, yeah, roughly.
Okay.
Might be a Schulman burner account. You never know, man. Emmanuel said, I think they saw my comment and woke up. Okay, I got you there.
10 seconds.
Samao comes with a limp. Schulman, a couple of ladies here.
Yep.
Oh, Donnie, whenever I see the queens, I think of the iconic WSOP hand. Lady, lady, lady. If you know, you know. If you're in the chat and you remember the guy standing up singing that, was feature table WSOP main event, I want to say 2012-ish. Good times. Lady, lady, lady.
There's a lot of iconic hands from the WSOP main event involving queens.
Oh, yeah.
I think of Duhamel Chong.
Yep.
I think of, was it Lee Childs who had the head queens?
He had them, yes, and then he didn't.
Yeah, I know, but like even that hand was crazy.
Wasn't the Karaknai hand at queens?
No, he had
Ace King.
Which hand?
Karaknai versus Bauman.
When he
that controversial one.
She had kings.
She had king. That's what it was. Whenever I think of that year, the first thing that comes to mind is, you lost, bro.
Great moments from that tournament.
How's Rob Salaburu doing?
Good question. I think he was, I want to say he made a deep run in WPT Jacksonville recently.
Look at this, by the way. A little look at the room. Scott Seaver sporting the new look with the beard. I dig it very well. Brock Wilson fighting for a spot in the top 40. Stephen Chitwick with the mustache ready for some action. Good to see him back. Jim Colopy all smiles. He is no longer, or I guess compared to last year, not sweating a spot in the top 40. We'll see Colopy in the championship $1 million free roll. We missed Chidwick in action for such a long time, and now he's back. It's great to see. And if you want to follow along with live reporting, it is available on pgt.com of event number 2. Donnie, any updates from the floor?
Well, it looks like Adam Hendricks is doing very well. Currently the biggest stack in the room per the counts. Recently took out Justin Zaki. Of course, it's still early-ish in the day with about 2 hours or so left in late registration. So I would expect someone like Justin Zaki to get back in. Plenty of players to either register late or fire some re-entries out there. I see we got John Hennigan joining the field. Justin Saliba is out there battling. Very important series for Saliba. He is, or at least he was until Bryce Yockey jumped up into 38th place. But Justin Saliba was 40th. He was that last qualifying entry as a top 40 player into the PGT Championship. So now, because Yockey jumped up into 38th, Saliba goes to 41st. So Saliba's going to need to find some points this series, or get some help, of course, if no one else is able to find a cash. That's not yet qualifying within the top 40 of the leaderboard. Here we got a limped pot pre-flop on the ace-jack 3 two-heart board. It was check call of 250K from Schulman, check calling against Samau. Turn 8 of clubs. Schulman checked. Samau comes with 475. Schulman called. Check, check on the river. Schulman announces the nuts. Getting there.
Good check.
King of the river
And now
again.
it's going to be Schulman back in front. So flip, flop, we go.
Jack deuce suited for Schulman. Comes in for the raise. Donnie, how valuable are those suited unconnected hands in heads-up play? You know, Jack deuce looks like garbage, but actually probably quite a decent hand.
Yeah, I mean, every hand goes up a little bit in value when you're playing heads up. Also having a jack there, you know, jack deuce, queen deuce, king deuce, stuff like that. You still have that high card that can play at times. We've already seen both these players play high card only hands during heads up play. Talking about post flop, so certainly some value there.
Ace queen 6, 2 spades. Samau picks up the flush draw. Still only looking at 8 high. But I wonder if we're going to see some aggression here on the semi-bluff. Perhaps just a call. There it is, just a call. Tossing it in.
Another heart here on the turn. Double flush draw board. Both players have a flush draw. Samau, good card for him too. You know, he's got a gutter now.
$1.5.
10 seconds.
Schulman betting 1.5 million on the draw. Now, if we're Samau here, Donnie, does that flush draw shrink, or do we still sense some opportunity here?
I think you probably think your flush draw is still good.
Oh, wow. And he moves all in. Right on the money with that call, Donnie. And Schulman just has to toss him. Donnie only on the draw. He's got the gut shot along with this flush draw, but still, what a move.
I mean, we've seen some really high-level poker out of these two players. I know some members of the chat, Emmanuel, were coming at these players, but I don't know. They've been playing A+ poker all around.
I think it's my fault. If you.
Just under 2-1 now is the lead for Samau. He's been in this position before to start the heads-up match. He had quite a sizable chip lead. Schulman battled back, of course. Had the chip lead a couple times himself, but wasn't really able to ever stretch it out over Samau. And now with that pot, Samau has widened the gap quite a bit.
All right, back to the flop we go. Ace, queen, 9, rainbow. Samau catches a piece of it.
You mind if I go to the bathroom 1 minute?
No, it's fair.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
All right, so Schulman running out for a quick
What if he said
break.
yeah?
He should have
Yeah,
said no.
No, you can't go.
You can't go. Hold him hostage. All right. Nick Schulman stepping out for a quick break here. Let us remind you of OccupyPoker.ai, the most accessible poker study platform for all skill levels. Sign up right now, and if you become a paying member, you are entered into the raffle giveaway for a chance to play in event number 1 of the 2025 Poker Masters taking place inside the PokerGO Studio this fall. So don't hesitate, get on in there and start improving your game via the OccupyPoker.ai software. Donnie, we've seen quite a final table so far today. How would you sort of summarize the action? Because I'm sort of impressed with the level of play today.
Yeah, I think it's been great as we take a look here at the upcoming schedule for the PGT Last Chance Series. If we get these final tables to play out like this one, we're in for an absolutely great series overall. But it's great to start. With such a good final table. A lot of electric moments so far, some big all-in clashes, couple of big bluffs as well. We got 2 really, really, really high-level players in Nick Schulman and Zhao Samao going heads up here, and they've been battling heads up for quite a while. So I think it's just been absolutely superb, to be honest. Great way to kick off the new year. Great way to, lead into the final series here before we get into that crowning PGT Championship event that's coming up in just about a week time. So awesome stuff all around, for real.
All right, so we are waiting for Schulman to return to action, and there he is. Play about to get back underway here as we are still heads up in event number 1 of the PGT Last Chance Series. Schulman taking a little swing there, working on the old golf game. Let us know in the chat where you're watching from. I'm sure we'll have plenty of Brazilians tuned in to the chat. It's 9.8 million versus 4.1 as the blinds continue
I wanted to
go
but
up.
Nah, just didn't happen. Have you ever played down there? Or?
No, I've never been down there. Look nice. But the weather looks
Yeah.
nice, yeah.
Did Schulman okay this bathroom break?
I stayed at Atlantis, yeah. It's okay. It's not, yeah, it's all right. No, yeah. It's a tough place to like pay on your own because it's like $1,000 a night, it's not that nice. But there's a promotion for, a lot of us would have paid it anyway, but like, yeah, it's really pricey.
Schulman citing WSOP Paradise that he recently got back from, down where he won his 6th WSOP gold bracelet. I believe it was the $5,000 buy-in closer turbo event. Might have had bounties involved. I think the final table included Sean Deeb, Ren Lin, Daniel Negreanu. So good stuff there.
Absolutely. Most of those names you just mentioned are in the mix here as well at the Last Chance Series. Ren Lin among the players who really need some points to get into the top 40 as cards are back in the air here during heads-up play. Ace-2 suited for Schulman. Good kind of hand to start battling with.
10 seconds.
All in.
It's an open rip. Here we go. Nothing there for Samao.
Samao, King 8 off on the button. Surely we'll see a raise from him again.
10 seconds.
Schulman with the real hand too. Ace-6 of spades.
All in.
And he moves all in.
10 seconds.
Samao with the quick fold. Seeing that the Hollow is watched from Serbia at 1 in the morning. You gotta love the fact you guys are tuned in to our stream. We got Seattle in the house, of course, Russell representing, but also Nathan tuning in from there. Tom Jackson from England in the mix. Patrick, a Brazilian watching from Taiwan. Look at that. International crowd representing. Somehow raising the limp from Schulman. Gets it done.
10 seconds. Seconds.
525,000.
Somehow 8 deuce of hearts, raising it up to 525, and Schulman with the jack 5 off is going to make the call. Got to take stands, you got to make moves, and got to try and outwit your opponent here during heads-up play. You can't be a walkover. And ace, queen, queen rolls off. Let's see if Samao is going to try to represent some of those cards, being the pre-flop raiser. Action does go check, check. Samao not taking any chances. Again, the action gets checked, and the 10 on the river gives Schulman the unlikely runner Broadway. Very welcome sight here for Schulman, who was, of course, already ahead with Jack High, but who knows if he would have made it to Showdown. And now betting 400K, probably going to just end it right here on the spot as Samao's got nothing. But yeah, they all matter, they all count, and Nick Schulman chips up a little bit again. The battle continues as it's Schulman's time to limp. And, you know, heads up play can somehow and sometimes feel a little monotonous and stale. But in my eyes, we're just counting down to the big explosion, and I can't wait to see how this thing ultimately ends up. Samau, ace-8 on the button. King 4, 10. Schulman picks up top pair in this limp pot. Donnie, are you surprised that this heads-up match is still ongoing, given both of these guys' appetite for aggression?
No, I think it speaks towards their appetite to winning. You know, like they understand the moment, the gravity of it, you know, the importance of ultimately getting their hand on that trophy that is in between them. They are playing for a 6-figure difference between first and second.
And Schulman here, cranking it up right away on the flop. Have not seen this kind of flop aggression in a while.
Looks like we have one hand before the blinds are going to go up once again.
I mean, can they go up much more?
I mean, the stack keep getting shallower, but these two don't seem to be wanting to budge.
Ace-4 suited for Schulman. A hand with quite a bit of potential.
All in.
And there's the shove. Pocket fours for Samau on the button. Let's see if he wants to get rowdy with that one.
Schulman takes the lead here on the Queen 10-5 flop. He's got a pair of 10s. So now not going to bet this one in position. 8 on the turn. Check, check once again. 3 on the river, so Schulman's got that check mark as long as he doesn't fold his hand.
Whenever a hand is passive like that, we'll be less likely to see big bluffs, big moves. Schulman instead goes for a bit of value there with his 10.
No call there from Samau. Schulman back up over 6 million in chips. Samau on 7.7. We are playing 153 under K. open fold from the button?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we haven't seen that at all.
We don't read chat card chart. Just I'll let you know. Over on the PokerGO chat, absolute class from Nick, first ballot Hall of Fame. I don't disagree, but I think there are arguments for somebody like a Scott Seaver, for example.
Oh,
like
yeah.
you know, so it's difficult. Limped pot here. 10, 6, 4 with a couple of spades. 2 spades in the hand for Schulman. 1 spade there for Samau. Check, check. 5 on the turn. Samau takes the lead. Well, he had the lead, but improves to a pair of 5s, I should say. Schulman comes with a bet here, 450. Enough of a hand for Samau to come along in position. 1.8 million out there going to the river. 10 of hearts pairs the board. Schulman here left with 8 high. Schulman checks. Looks like Samau's going to come with a value bet here.
10 seconds.
Quick look back for Nick, but into the muck the 8 high goes. And Samau stretches that lead out once again.
Both players really eager to get that W in 2025. CH Vance says heads up is definitely mentally draining. Donnie, I know that you don't get a chance often to be heads up, but does heads up to you when you're playing a tournament, does it often feel like you've achieved what you wanted to achieve and all the rest is bonus, or does it feel like the highest pressure moment because there's generally a large pay jump on the line?
I mean, it's a little bit of both, like at the same time, which can be like this mental mind F, you know, while you're trying to play. On one hand, you know, oftentimes you get to, you know, you get into the money of a tournament and it's like, okay, let's try and make the final table. You get to the final table and then it's like, okay, let's try and make top 3 because that's generally where the money is. You know, one spot further, of course, is heads up play. And then once you get there, it's like you have your arm outstretched to the trophy, as we see there in the middle of the table. And we take a look at these 2 chip counts presented by Play Poker Go. But yeah, I mean, you're right there. Even if you're at a deficit, like Schulman when he came into this heads-up match against Samau. You know, he was down, what, about 3-1 or so at the time. You're still, like, right there. You know, you feel it, like, one double up, yeah. The other side is, like, you have to focus and not kind of get ahead of yourself because you are so close. And you don't get a lot of opportunities in tournament poker to get heads-up. You don't get heads-up all the time. So when you do, you know, you really want to take advantage of it. And you can't take hands off in heads-up play. I mean, you're playing pretty much every single hand. So the concentration is always there. Whereas if you're, even when you're 3-handed, maybe you fold the button or maybe the button opens, you fold the small blind. And it's kind of a mental break a little bit. But heads up, no breaks, none whatsoever. So, yeah, the pressure is on because it's the biggest spot, the biggest pay jump in the tournament. The win is right there. And in a weird way, it's also going to be the biggest letdown if you lose. Even though, you know, 99.9 times out of 100, you're making money when you're heads up.
Yeah,
but
sure.
if you lose, you're still like, God damn it, I was right. Like I was right there.
I feel like with a lot of players, the sense of accomplishment by getting to heads up sometimes takes over, and they sort of relax and then get taken advantage of. I see Chris in the chat says, I almost rather finish third than second. I mean, in a way, you know, second you're within arm's reach. That's tough.
Well, that's like, you know, when people say, I'd almost rather bust in like level 3 versus being the bubble boy. You know, it's just the pain is much more. A3 suited here on the button for Samau. Gonna play this one with the limp. Queen 5 off for Schulman. Neither of these players wanting to give a single inch against the opponent. Schulman flopping 2 pair here on the ace queen 5.
I think he checks, right?
I checked, yeah.
Schulman checked 400K from Samau.
For everyone watching right now, do me a giant favor, like really a giant favor. Subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, because we are live tomorrow as well. And then Monday through Thursday, we got final tables that are very likely going to be stacked with top talent. So if you enjoyed today's show, and I can tell that plenty of you guys are watching, just do us a favor, subscribe, turn on those notifications, and drop a like if you enjoy it. We're going to have tons of No Limit Hold'em action coming at you in the lead up to the $1 Million Free Roll Championship event, which will be happening shortly after the conclusion of this series. Samau betting 600K on the flush draw. Schulman with 2 pair. Thinking about his next move. Do we have to protect our hand here, Donnie? Or is
I mean, I was gonna say I would think that we would hear from him in the form of a raise here, but Schulman does elect to take the call, or the call approach, I should say.
9 pairs the board on the river. Concerning for Schulman, given his 2 pair.
Yeah, I mean, if your opponent's got a queen, might be a better queen, but you're chopping at this point, lose some value there. An ace beats you now. Samau does not elect to pull the trigger on a bluff there, and I'm sure Schulman doesn't mind it, of course, you know. Fades having to make a difficult decision and collects that pot. And now we're back to virtually even again. 6.7, just over for Schulman. 7.15 for Samau. Limp on the button, queen 6 off from Schulman. Somehow, okay, he's gonna check. Probably might be thinking about possibly raising this one, but queen jack 6, rainbow, top and bottom for Schulman. Not much for Samau. Bet and a quick fold. And now Schulman back into the lead once again. I think it's his 3rd time now in the lead, but I don't believe he's gotten over 8 million during heads-up play. So his leads have been small. Samau has been the one who's been able to open up some larger leads. That said, still anyone's game here, of course. These two are just battling. Have we gotten to the point where heads-up play has been longer than
the tournament
from
itself?
7 to
I
7
mean,
to 2?
This is hand 101 at this final table, which is that's quite a lot. I mean,
yeah, and in these quote-unquote minors on the PGT, a little bit faster structures, you know, 30-minute levels. Faster structure here during heads-up play as Schulman elects to 3-bet jam the ace-7 off, and he gets that one through. So nice pickup there, and just as I mentioned, he's never been over 8 million. Now he's over 8 million.
Yep.
Now let's see if we can see Schulman start to pull away, or if Samao can fight back. Every time Schulman's gotten the chip lead in heads-up play, Samao has just really fought right back in the few hands to come right after Schulman has taken the chip lead, and Samao's been able to grab it back. So we'll see if that pattern continues here.
Well, hands-wise, Donnie, I think we are right on the money as far as it took 50 hands to get down to heads-up, and we've been playing heads-up for 52 hands right now.
There you go.
Also, we are coming up on 2 hours of heads-up play, and it's been, in about 15 minutes, it's been about 2 hours since heads-up play started. So definitely none of these players, or neither of these players, letting up for now.
Another limped pot here. Jack 10 off versus 3 deuce off. Schulman flops a pair of jacks and a Broadway draw. Samao's got the nut low. Bet of 300K. Quick fold. And more chips for Schulman. Chance asking about the field size. 111 players in this tournament. $10,000 buy-in. $10,100 if you show up on time. $10,500 if you don't show up on time or if you re-enter after. Samao limps, and we're going to hear from Schulman. Could just ask for it all here, of course.
10 seconds.
Samao's working with sub 20 bigs.
1,050,000.
3.5x is the raise from Schulman.
10 seconds.
Samao with a look, but says no thank you, and into the muck it goes. Schulman now pushing 9 million. Samao under 5 million.
What a battle it has been for Nick Schulman. Blasting it all off into Samao, leaving himself with 850,000 after a failed bluff. Then 2 double ups in 3 hands to get him right back in the mix. And now, with almost a 2-to-1 chip lead for the title, but this thing is far from over as Samao has been a very tough competitor himself. And again, the same hand for both players. Ace, 8, 10, 2 diamonds. Whoever stabs first will probably get it.
I'm going to guess Schulman just because he's in position. And there's the stab. And there's the fold.
All right, here is a look at playpokergo.com. Fun and free online poker. Deal yourself in. Go to playpokergo.com right now. Available on web, iOS, and Android. Our long-awaited game that we've developed with some help is now available on playpokergo.com. I got an account. I play on there. definitely worth a try, and may or may not be launching some tournaments, maybe some leaderboards. Who knows? It's up if it's up to me. $8-8-4. Samau flopping trips with the ace kicker. Schulman catches a 4, which might be costly, as he might value this pair a little bit, Donnie.
Yeah, I mean, it's not enough here that Samau does flop the trips. His opponent flops a hand as well. And in heads-up play, we can certainly see additional chips going into the pot here. Could it ultimately be a double up for Samau? I mean, let's see how this one proceeds. It looks like we're starting with a check raise here from Schulman.
750.
$111 players total in this event. 2 remain, and Schulman now in a bit of trouble as he raises with the weak pair into trips. And of course, Samau is gladly going to just make this call.
Yeah, just a great spot here for Samau.
Now, Donnie, if we're Schulman here, how do we interpret Samau's call on the flop? It's such an odd texture to find confidence.
Yeah, I mean, he can have some straight draws. He can have a 4 himself. He can have some hands that are like, I mean, let's say ace X of diamonds, spades, or clubs, you know, that have the back doors, stuff like that. $800K from Schulman, and Samau is going to make the call.
All right, $4 million in the middle, and a 4 on the river.
Wow.
Oh my God, Schulman makes a full house at the worst possible time. Samau with the top boat, and only 2.5 million chips remaining in his stack. Total game changer on the river here, as Schulman will feel very confident about his hand. And there it goes. There it goes. Schulman puts Samau all in. He might quickly double check the cards, but the insta call is going to be made, and Schulman will see the bad news. What an absolute cooler here during heads-up play, and things swinging back into the Brazilians' favor as Samau is now back up to 9 million. And Schulman completely silent as he parts ways with a large chunk of his chips.
Yeah, flopping the stacks pretty much exactly. Now it's Samau with just about a 2-to-1 chip lead over Schulman, and back in the driver's seat here. What a hand.
Wow.
What a hand. Seen some big ones at this final table, and to throw that one right into the mix.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, heads up. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, that's just...
That's so brutal.
What are you going to do, man?
So brutal.
Ace-4 off here for Schulman. Now he's the one with sub 20 bigs, and all in it is.
How much?
King 8 suited, Donnie.
4.875 total.
Yes, Samau might call here. Yep.
Oh.
No, I thought that was it. He's thought it over before, you know, taking some time, but.
I paid this price, right?
10 seconds. extension. Extension.
Somehow deep into the tank, Donnie. Does the math tell him to make this call?
I mean, I think it's close here.
10 seconds.
I would probably lean call with King 9 suited, and I mean, maybe I'm wrong there, but it's just King 9 feels like a much better hand there. Does elect to give it up. Fight on, as they say.
Exactly. Schulman, of course, not out of it yet. Stacks are still pretty close.
Okay.
Four deuce off. Seeing one of our rare walks at this or during this heads-up play. Schulman with a very presentable Queen 8 of diamonds, making the call.
10 seconds.
Seven, 9, 6 rainbow on the flop. Schulman open-ended. Samau with a gut shot, but also ace high.
Okay. $450,000.
450 is the bet. Samau made the call, and we've arrived on the river. Ace high is best here. Is Schulman able to find a bluff here? Should he be able to?
Well, he's going to have to if he wants to win this hand, I'll tell you that much. He's got a decent candidate for it. You know, he has that 8. He's not going to. Checks behind, and he's going to see Samau's hand and probably wish he pulled the trigger.
Bad news for Schulman, who gets knocked down a bit more.
Is it one hand again until the blinds go up?
I mean, I keep being amazed at the fact that these blinds can still go up.
Might be at the point of the structure sheet where there's just nothing there, and they're just
making shit up.
Yeah. Remaining levels are at the discretion of the tournament director.
Exactly. By the way, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you're in the chat with us, please give us a shout. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know who you're rooting for. And above all else, give us a like, a subscribe, do all that good stuff. It really helps us out. We got a live stream. We got a live stream again tomorrow as the deuces now get shoved into the middle. Schulman with queen, 8 of spades, 16 big blinds, giving it some thought here.
And it feels very similar to the situation that Samao was in a few hands ago when he had the king, 8 of spades. Of course, different hand, but one of those ones where it's like right on the line, it feels like. Schulman is going to elect a call.
Schulman makes the call, puts his tournament life on the line with queen, 8 of spades. Samao just slightly ahead with the deuces. But mathematically, Schulman actually the favorite here. All right, 9.4 million in the middle. Samao can close this out if his deuces hold up. Here comes the flop. Jack 7-7. Schulman looking for a queen, jack, or 8 to take the lead on the turn. Nine outs twice. Still 38%. Turn card is the 8, and Schulman does take the lead. Samao now down to just 2 outs.
All right.
And are we going to see a flip-flop of the stacks again? Highly likely. Nick Schulman about to be chip leader again. River card is the 6 of spades, and Schulman's back on top. These two going blow for blow at this final table.
4. Yeah.
4, 5, 7, 5.
4, 5, 7, 5. Sorry. 4, 5.
Button moves, right?
I'm big.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so Schulman now basically 2-1 again. 14 bigs for Samao. I mean, no matter who wins this thing, it's been a great match. It's been a great match. Lots of entertaining hands. Queen Jack off here for Schulman. And the blinds have now gone up to 200K, 400K.
All in.
And of course, Schulman comes with the shove. Samao tosses them. Quick update here from event number 2. Live reporting available on PGT.com as there's 85 total entries so far. Registration still open. Adam Hendricks, current chip leader in event number 2. Landon Tice has just been eliminated, but registration's still open, as I said. Justin Young also in the house today. That final table streams tomorrow live here on PokerGO.com, as well as our YouTube channel, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern, or if you're in Europe, at 10 p.m. Central European time. Late night poker in Europe, who doesn't love it? That's how I grew up, watching poker late at night while playing online myself.
How much is that?
Look at this, the Jack deuce shove. Samao finding himself in a bit of desperation, and Schulman calls it off with Jack 7 of spades, and he's a favorite now to close it out himself. Nick Schulman, 52% to end this thing. But like we saw before, Donnie, with these small kickers, the chop outs are very, very present. Here comes the flop. King 6-6. Speaking of chops, it's out there. Samau looking for a deuce. Schulman looking for small cards that are not a deuce in order for his 7 to remain in play and seal the deal for him. Can he find some low cards? And that's a very good one, because Schulman not only finds a low card to keep his 7 alive, he also picks up a spade draw, making it a little bit easier
Jack, yeah.
for him to end it.
Yeah, that's the weirdest one.
All right, here comes the river. It's the 7 of clubs, and Schulman does it. He comes out on top in the first event of the 2025 PGT Last Chance Series. He'll take home the trophy on the table, and of course, the first place prize of $285,000 after a long-fought heads-up battle here inside the PokerGO Studio. What a battle it has been. Thank you all so much for watching. On your way out, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel as we take one more quick look at our studio tournament area, as all the biggest names in poker are battling for a seat at tomorrow's final table. Saturday, January 4th, like I said, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. local time here in Las Vegas. The final table will kick off as myself, Remko, Rinkema, and Donnie Peters will once again be on the call for that one. For now, I want to wish you a good night or a good afternoon, depending on where you're watching from, and we'll catch you again tomorrow for the continuation of the 2025 PGT Last Chance. Good night.